if you don't do the damn countdown.
Well,
So
it's
Jesus Christ.
Is it like? Is that like that? 2, 3, 2, 2.5. Wait, that's going back
No,
up.
it's like, are we
One and a
going on
half,
one?
one.
Are we going on one or we're not going on one? And it's
Well,
just
why isn't
like
it 0? I don't know.
it's like
We can
that
never.
guy at the launch. He's like, I don't want to press it. Well, you got to press it. We just did the number and everybody's waiting out there to launch this thing. Well, I'm
You,
not going to do it. It's
you think
like,
there's
all
a
right.
guy at NASA that fucked it up? Oh, that messed it up. You know what I
Whoa,
mean?
whoa, whoa. Language in the
Whoa!
first 30 seconds out the door. Kids get in the
Ah,
room.
yeah,
Anyways, so you
yeah.
were we were talking offline. You were asking me about my days when I worked in a music store. And yeah.
Yes. So,
Um
yeah.
yeah, I worked
Go
in
ahead.
a music store for a long time. Um I have a massive vast collection of CDs that are now borderline worthless slash slash
uh,
the most valuable things in the world because they don't make CDs anymore. So I don't know how you want to take that, but
well,
yeah. So I
so
worked in a CD store locally in Texas. It was called CD Exchange at the time. Now it's DVD Exchange, and slowly they're doing their death rattle
is it following
to
the trend of Blockbuster,
yeah,
sort
everything's
of?
digital these days, so they're gone. But I worked there
Hmm.
for many years, and I have this massive collection. Like we always talk about posters and stuff. Like I have a ridiculous amount of like car posters from all those years, and then I have a ridiculous amount of posters from like movies and like rock concerts, like bunch of Nine Inch Nails posters. I mean, massive, huge
Ah,
posters. But we would get
yes.
those for free because they would drop them. So every Tuesday, which was called release date
It
for
used to be
media,
Tuesdays. I
it used
remember
to be
that. Yes.
Tuesdays. We would get this like massive amount, like some guy would come through from the record company would drop off, or we would from the ordering company. Here's Garth Brooks, blah blah blah, and here's 110 copies, and we would because we ordered that, and he's like, here's five small little hats that the CD comes in, like that kind of stuff, like I don't know. Like, I think like there was
You
a
get
band, like some of the weirdest stuff you would get, like boxes of
mhm.
cereal that the
Like
album came in that nobody knew
what?
that it really came in the box of cereal. Like a band called Rocket from the Crypt did that like a couple times, and their CD was
Really?
literally the prize in the box of cereal. Um,
Uh,
just weird
like
stuff like that. Like I've got
uh,
so many. Like remember Bush, the band Bush, yeah,
yes,
90s band.
yes. I'm a fan.
Well,
I'm a fan of Bush.
so
Yeah.
they had a single that came out and Machine Head, and
Yeah.
it was a single that came out, and the single actually came in a motorcycle helmet. You could open it, and the single was inside there, and nobody knew
What?
that that was in there. But it was like the size of like what you would get, that big, like the size of a
Yeah.
skull or something.
Yeah.
But anyway, like I've got a bunch of like weird stuff like that, and then like
Well,
posters, like
that's
yeah, movie
yeah.
posters. I've got tons of movie posters that they just give us for free.
And I think I was
So
telling you about that too, where just this past weekend I was in Austin and went to one of those little taco bar, and and I remember the site of the place because I want to say it was used in a Quentin Tarantino film. It was that double feature that they did, Grindhouse,
I think
Death
you're gonna.
Proof, Death
Death
Proof.
Proof? Yeah.
Yes,
Oh,
a
hold
hell
on.
of a car movie, by the way. It's like a horror. Yeah.
And this is not on purpose, but I have. Hold on.
Hmm. I
Yeah,
remember, dude. Like I was,
yeah.
you
Well,
still have
I
that.
had this for something else, and
Yeah.
then I've
No,
used it
no.
in the show before once or
Yes,
twice.
that's what I was gonna say. I remember that picture. You still have Stuntman Steve, Kurt Russell's Stuntman Steve,
Yeah.
Death Proof.
Are you?
That's
Does my
funny,
scar
dude.
scare you, Mike? But anyway, yeah.
Yeah,
That place is called Wedos in Austin, Texas.
yeah,
Is that right? Yeah.
yep.
So
Not too
again, if
far.
you're listening to the show for the first time, yes, we rant and we waste time for the first few minutes, but at the end of the day, we want to say thank you to all you folks that actually chimed in and are listening to our show for the first few minutes.
Yes.
So welcome to another episode of the Nissan Nerd Podcast. We're doing it for you here, episode number 436. All right,
Close. You were close. Number 65.
65, four away from 69. Anyway,
Yeah. Yeah.
so we're today we've got some special guests in the house. I won't release too much here, but thank you again for
Yeah.
everybody being on with us. Mike, ding ding ding, tell them what they've won.
All right, guys. Again, thanks for being here. Honestly, man, this episode is a special episode again. We're going to be doing some chatting. We're actually dedicating this episode to two events which have been led by a great team of the Z enthusiasts. Of course, we're talking about Texas Z Fest, which just passed not too long ago, and the upcoming Branson Z Fest. So we have honestly a full house of the organizers, co-organizers of the events. Honestly, it's going to be a great time. So. If you're joining us, grab a drink. Let's have some fun. It's going to be a party. Let's go ahead and get into it, guys. Thank you for being here. Again, this is the Nissan Nerd Podcast.
I was very proud of you on that one, Mike. You did a good job.
Thank you. Yeah.
Stuntman Steve.
Stuntman Steve, man. Memorable. I want to do that as a Halloween costume one year. I would love to do Stuntman Steve.
You know what's funny is they
The
reference
jacket.
a movie in that. So they reference a movie in that movie called Vanishing Point,
Yeah.
and I've never finished all of Vanishing Point. It's always been like I'm watching it. I didn't like catch it till the 80s, and then it
Yeah.
was like okay, and then in the 90s I was all full import kid, so I kind of just like tossed it to the side, and I've
Okay.
tried to watch it like 3 times in the last 2 years, and my kid comes in, Daddy, no, we're gonna change that and put on
Oh,
blah.
freaking Paw Patrol or whatever, right?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, that's about the closest thing I get to a car to a
Yeah.
car show with
Oh,
her on. And I've tried like everything to get my daughter into car
get her
stuff.
into it. Yeah.
Yeah. And then it's like, but
Not happening.
no, I take her to like car shows and everything. She's just not into that world yet. But she
Not
just does the boring, and I'm like, yo, this is daddy's life. I was
yeah.
like, get out. I was like,
The
so
well, it's funny you mentioned like cars and some of your projects, trying to get into projects. I wanted to take this moment to talk about a project that you're currently working on. You shared it with me, and you've shared it online as well.
I got a lot of
And
projects.
this was
So
like, yeah, you got a lot of projects. This one was rather cool. This is actually the first time that we've been able to talk about it on the
which one are we
show.
talking about?
The red one. You want to talk about the new acquisition?
Oh, Project Ziphilus.
Project Ziphilus. I love that's an awesome name, dude.
Well,
That's a
not
Miles
really.
name,
If you're
like,
the
if
person
I ever
buying
heard
the
it.
car. So usually what I do is a lot of people that are in around the Texas area, San Antonio, Austin, whatever, they might have the occasional Z, or somebody will kind of send me an IM and say, hey, Miles, save this Z. And I'm like, okay. Well, usually it's like it's been in a field or it's in a garage, or it's, they pulled the engine, tried a DLS swap, and they just destroyed the car. So I get them in all like phases.
Conditions, yeah.
Yeah, and then so but I also buy like a lot of like parts out of people's garages, so I have plenty of inventory to kind of work on these cars, and I kind of do it as a labor of love and make a little bit of money, but for the most part I'm just kind of doing it for the love of doing it. This particular project was a red car that was in the middle of a field, and it had been abandoned for the most part for about 2 or 3 years. So there was all kinds of critters going into it. I don't know if you have the link, but you can bring it up in the background. Just
I'll
drop
set it
it.
up. I'll set it up.
But
Yeah.
I was like, the name came about was as we started digging into the car. I mean, it was rust free, so you weren't going to get any type of rust kind of issue. But the issue that was going on with it, it was just there was so much like critters that were in and around it, that had
Mm,
kind of gotten into the vehicle. So what I did is I started just kind of going through the car, sterilizing it because that's very important, and then just cleaning and sterilizing.
yeah.
But the running joke was like, man, if you didn't have any type of contagious disease, you were going to get it after kind of working on this car. So we're like, well, if this car had syphilis, you have it now. And that was kind of the running joke. And
Is that
yeah, I mean, just to name a few like things that were going on with it, there was a squirrel living in the actual air induction box, which I had never seen on a Z32. So it was
that?
literally living in there. And when you popped it, you smelt that you popped it. And
Ooh.
but what it is we couldn't get the car to start, and I was like, okay, it's a stock airbox. It's impenetrable in there, right? But
Mm-hmm.
needless to say, there was like critters that got in there, and we tried to start it, and everything was sucked to the mass airflow. After we took that out
Uh,
and kind of cleaned up the rest of it because we needed to make sure all that junk didn't find its way into the engine.
yeah.
Or scoped everything, turned it over, got it running. It idles like a, I would say a dream, but like a loose nightmare right now.
Whose dream? Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So,
yeah.
but it's honestly doing well. I mean, every day I kind of touch it, it gets easier. But the beautiful thing is, I mean, cars like this, it's fairly rust free. It's extremely straight
Dude,
vehicle.
it's a
And
straight
honestly,
vehicle. Yeah.
I mean, I know a parts car. We've taken apart parts cars like an army of ants in my
Yes.
front in the front of my house in a matter of
Many times.
36 hours. We stripped that thing down to a frame for it just to be recycled. And this vehicle was a saver. I mean, it's low miles. I think it was like an 89, 90. Like it's the first run of the Buffalo for the 300ZX. It was like 1500 VIN number,
VIN number,
and
low
then
VIN. Okay.
low VIN. Well, I mean, I think that's a low VIN for that because we never know what hit the states and what didn't.
True.
But
True.
honestly, I've enjoyed working on it. I surprisingly enough, I got a call on this car today. A private buyer wanted to pick up this car. I just put new tires on it, got it started.
Yeah.
I'm just about to drive it around the block and change out all the lights and the block and the brakes just to make it legal, and then it's pretty much gone. So it goes on to a new home. It's found a new life
Oh, really?
outside of
Th-
sitting in this sad, dilapidated state. So it needs a,
that's rather quick, man. I didn't know that. Wow.
well, I'm good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
And thing is though, I know you running a fine comb through this car though, it's definitely in much better condition than when it was in.
yeah, I mean, me personally, the level of perfection we all strive to. It's like you have to kind of own the vehicle and do all that, and then over 2 years, and you can do that. But if you give somebody a nice running vehicle, you give them a great platform to kind of start off with. So
Yes.
if you're out there kind of doing the same thing for any of the Datsun platforms, Infinity, or even any Nissan, it's always nice to be able to put those back into
Circulation.
into circulation and let people kind of see
Yeah.
them. And it's crazy. Like I'll be at shows
Yeah.
and some guy will be like, "Yeah, I bought this, and I put a little of this and I put a little of this." Yeah, I built that whole engine. Like, just, and
Yeah.
he's like,
Yeah.
What do you mean? Like, no,
Yeah.
I literally
Three
built
owners
that
back.
engine.
3 owners back.
Three
Yeah, I
owners
know.
back, I built that engine and I put that. And he goes, "Did you know about this?" And I show him things about their car they never saw because I'm the one that did it, and it was just kind
Yeah.
of funny. But
I've done
yeah,
that. My
yeah,
brother did that with a Datsun. He bought one, and I sure enough I knew the previous owner from 8 years back. Man, go figure. You
it's
know.
how it is. If you've
Yeah.
been in the game and circulation long enough, it goes from there. But yeah, just you fix all the ghetto stuff, and then surprisingly enough, you got a good runner if you know what to kind of look for and hunt for. And
Yep.
thankfully, I came from a background of like twinturbo.net and being with all the ZCCA guys for as long as I've been, hybrid Z guys. I'm talking forums right now.
Yep.
But you picked up so much and knowledge back then. And again, a shout out to those guys. Pour a
Yeah.
piece up
Shout
for you.
out.
And but yeah, again, save the forums. That's the only reason I have the skills that I have to this day. I attribute it solely all to those guys who somebody else did it. I just learned and copied it. That's all it was. So, but
Mm.
yeah, I'm having a good time with the project. I got a call again 2 days ago about somebody else who wants to drop off a project and find a new home for it. So
Again.
I got a TT 300ZX that I know nothing about, but apparently it might find its way over to me to flip and find a new home around the San Antonio Austin area. Maybe it'll happen. So
Cool. Cool.
I'll let you know how bad it is and what the project is going to be.
Well,
So
speaking of restoration projects, Miles, you know that I've got my own project happening right now, trying to get also another 300ZX done in time for ZCon. That's the big road trip,
oh
the
yeah,
big goal that we're trying to have
we'll get
done.
it done.
The last time we spoke about it, since then, I went ahead and bought some paint for the engine bay, and I used a company that we actually promoted here in a previous episode, which was a color match paint code aerosol can. So, it'll be my first time doing aerosol as a paint match. I am very curious about it, see how it does. but
Aerosol's okay for small touch ups and stuff like that, and you can find a way to kind of feather it in and
yeah.
make it happen.
And,
What are you gonna use? This was
well,
the engine bay.
yes, so this is mainly for the engine bay. So that's where I kind of felt safe about it because I'm like, well, it's a good, maybe a test area. It's definitely going to be better than what it is currently. Currently, I'm down to primer in some areas, so I imagine anything's going to be better. So,
Well,
yeah,
you
sure enough,
built
man.
it. You built it, not bought it, and that's the thing. That I
Yeah.
always like try to talk to people. You'd be surprised what you can get away with if you just kind of try to do it yourself. And using stock equivalent paint out of an aerosol is not that bad. If you're trying to shoot a whole car, probably not recommended. But if you're shooting something small like an engine bay or a touch up,
Hmm.
that's not that bad. So you'll probably get a pretty good result from it as long as you do all the prep work, mask, and get everything that you want to kind of get in there. Be ready for the occasional nibs that you got to sand out, and you'll get there. And my best of luck to you. Again, I'll probably be right there next to you when I do it. So
Yep. One thing I wanted to mention too, Miles. I know we talked about it in the past. I'll share my screen on this. Is that with this car, I've got a lot of JDM stickers that I don't want to get rid of, and I was really, when we're doing this paint, to do it correctly, it's either mask these things off rather finely, or sacrifice them, which I don't want to do. However, I did find something that which is really really cool, and I'll share that with you guys here. This is the uh, Blaster Z Restoration Parts and
yeah,
Services. They've got decals. Mainly, that's the reason why I'm going to them. They actually have the same decals that I'm looking for,
yeah.
reproduction. And
Blaster,
boom.
he's been around for a long time, and all his stuff is quality. We've actually meant to have him on the show. He's reached out to us a couple of times, and this is, I think, one of the maybe the second time we've given him a shout out for some of his stuff because he also does like illumination, some other cool illumination stuff for the Z32. But
Yep.
again, if you get a chance, you should check it out at blasterzgarage.com. He's got a lot of those like really cool decals and things that you just won't find. Only a Z32 nerd lover would find. So we'll give a little 300ZX love out there for anybody looking for that stuff. But let's talk about today's show. What else do we got going on?
Well, man, so getting into today's show, really the whole point of the show is, as we know, it's starting to get warm outside. Car show
Car
season is
show
here.
season.
Track show season is tr-
Yeah.
uh, track days seasons are here, honestly in full swing. So what's been happening in the Nissan community is that many events are in progress, already have happened or will be happening rather soon. And so that's what we want to do today here on the podcast.
Yep.
We're going to promote some events here. What's I think, Miles, something that we like to do though is not only promote the event but actually um, give the organizers some recognition, because in many ways it's sometimes a like the unsung heroes. Sometimes they the event always goes great, but behind the scenes there's always a lot of coordination happening and a lot of work months and months in advance. So today we've got some organizers with us. We're going to have some fun, talk with them first about Texas Z Fest, which just happened here not too long ago. What was it? April. Well, we saw him April 1st, actually,
Yeah.
in Fredericksburg, Texas here. And
Yeah.
then we're going to go ahead and talk about Branson Z Fest, which is upcoming. That's happening. Was it May? Oh shoot! I'm sorry about that, man. I
But
got my notes
either
here. Yeah,
way, no, it's fine.
May
But yeah,
31st. May
May
31st. Yeah,
31st. But yeah, I mean, we've got those dates and we're obviously going to be touching on those. But before we kind of dig into all that, let's go ahead and talk a little to our chat. And then
let's do
we've
it.
got a little compi before we can officially begin because I know that I got to get started. So, but
You want to do
let's
it?
give a shout out. Yeah, let's give a shout out to the chat. Let me see here. Justin is hollering at us. Let's go. And these are 100% right. Motorwork Mafia for being on with us here today. Haley Myers with Myers Motorsports. Thank you for joining us today. Edgar Freeman. And I think that's about everybody for right now. Don't be shy. If you're in the comments, continue to chat on with us as we go through the day, go through the night. And then also just remember that you can always ask us a question while we're doing this event live. And then at the end of this event, you'll have an opportunity to ask any direct questions to any of the folks that we have on as we round up the evening. But before then, let's give a shout out and a compi For those, I'll let you go ahead and do it, Mike.
You want to do it? All right.
Yeah.
Um, let's go into it. Man,
For those, let's
God,
give a shout out and a salute, Kampai, for
yeah,
those that we wish good health, and for those that may
yes.
no longer be with us, may we remember them
Reminded of
always.
them always. Kanpai, guys. Woo, clink. Join us. Join us. Join us. Join us.
Is it sad we don't remember our own motto for our Kampai? It's just it's not branded, and we had a lot going on tonight.
It's
So
not Brent. Yeah, yeah. That's just been so long. Maybe I. It
you
wasn't
didn't
my first
trademark
conpai.
it.
It
Well,
wasn't my
trademark.
first conpai tonight. I guess you could say. No.
Yeah, I was gonna say we've been working pretty hard we've been pre-gaming before this, so yeah, kudos.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Again, kudos to everybody for being on with us. Let's go ahead
Thank
and
you.
begin.
Let's go for it, man. All right, so let's go ahead and bring on our guests, guys. We're going to start off with somebody who's been a longtime friend, however, is a first-time guest here to the podcast. We're talking about one of the co-organizers of Texas Z Fest and a Texas local. Let's go ahead and welcome Kris Kunetka. Let's bring Kris on first.
What's up, nerds?
What's up,
Yo, dude.
nerds? What you doing, buddy?
Oh, you know, watching my favorite two nerds do some podcasting. Come by.
Nice.
Hey,
So
that's right,
Kampai,
man.
We'll give
We're
you a
going to
shout
be
out.
doing these all night. I know that much. Woo!
I got the
Oh, yeah.
official.
Oh yeah, gotta represent it, man.
Yeah, I gotta. Dude,
That's right.
honestly, good idea for these this year. I really like it.
Yeah, that was I believe Mama Britt was the first one to come up with that one. We all just kind of ran with it after that.
It's good.
I believe that
Solid.
was her
It's a solid idea. Order
Good
in bulk next
idea.
year.
And yeah, and that's the Stein has to do with obviously I think the Fredericksburg area, which the show was hosted in, very much a German influence. So yeah, nice touch, man.
Yep, that was
Yeah,
actually the exact intent we had, and it worked beautifully. And luckily, they're really nice. They were really expensive to have done, and we were a little afraid of the price point because being a first year, like who wants some inaugural big goofy thing? And we got really lucky that everybody loved them, and we didn't quite sell out, but almost.
Okay, all right.
Oh,
that was my next
We have a
question.
couple.
Wait, you know, save me one because I think I didn't grab one, and I
He
need
doesn't
I
want to
need
be
to get
out
one.
of the cool kid table.
Yeah, he's the cool kid club.
Yeah, I'm gonna get singled out for not having one, man.
So, Kris, I mean, we've known
that.
you for a
Jeez.
while, and not necessarily
time.
on this level with the car show, but we've known you for, quite a few other things and late night parking lot
Oh yeah.
mechanic stuff and all that
Yep.
kind of fun stuff. But
Oh, yeah, we've been
but this
slinging
is the
wrenches
first
and
time
throwing
you've been a
them.
guest on the show.
It
Primarily, I guess, obviously you're here because of Texas Z Fest and the success you had from it. Not like we wouldn't have you on if it wasn't successful, but needless to say, it was a success.
Thanks.
You did great. You had a good year, but
very much so.
how long have we known you? I mean, Jesus, I'm trying to think about
I was actually trying to think of that before the show, and I can't put my finger on a number.
It was the first time we met.
I want to say it was a Nismo
Oof.
Fiesta of some sort. Which
Nismo
nice shirt,
Fiesta,
by the way, right? Yeah.
The airport in San Antonio, 2015.
Austin, the airport. Was it the
No, San Antonio.
historic
The
airplanes one, or was it the one in Austin?
No, it wasn't Austin. It was San Antonio.
Probably the one in Lackland. Is it Air Force Base?
Oh
What year
yeah, I did
was
it.
it
We
the-
did it. I did Lackland, Port of San Antonio.
Yeah, well, I don't know what year that
Air
was.
Force Base. Yeah, gotcha.
Been a
Oh,
while
by the way,
since
yeah, representing right there.
there it is.
Honestly, surprising. That's actually one of my favorite shirts that we ever did. It actually came out.
It
great.
is so comfy. I love it. I've long since worn it
Yeah,
out,
we
but-
switched after like year 2 from the scratchy stuff to the good stuff, and like my wife, I don't even have Nismo Fiesta shirts. My wife steals them all. They're like, these are like the best shirts. I was like, yeah. I was like, because I buy good stuff back when I was an organizer. And speaking of organizer, you decided to put this all together, and you didn't do it alone.
Nope.
So you've got some core organizers and then Texas local folks. Yeah, you want
I
to kind of
do.
talk about that a little bit?
Sure. Well, so originally the idea actually came from non-Texas residents. I had this idea in my head. I did have kind of put a bug in Josh Lyman from ZCCA. We briefly talked about it in 2020, I think, briefly. And we actually had Branson Z Fest, I believe, in 21. And we just happened to sit down with the right group of people. We had Mad Mike, we had Jonathan Bueller from Nissan USA, we had Karl from ZCCA, Josh, and myself. And I asked him why, Texas has the biggest Z clubs in the United States. It's a big number.
Yeah.
And I was like, why isn't there one more south? I mean, not Missouri's far, but we have a little window in the year where we could probably fit one in. And we sat down at the table, and I got the blessing from Mad Mike himself, and Jonathan Bueller thought it was a great idea, and they gave me the green light. Karl, and Josh helped me along the way. The co-creator that I took on early, Alexis, who can't be here with us today, but she did a lot of behind the scenes work, man, and a lot up front too, as y'all probably saw.
Yeah, we saw her.
On Saturday when you were
got
there.
photos of her. She did all the awards. She was busting tail all week, from what we heard. So
she never stopped once.
I think she's on the chat with us tonight. So kudos to Alexis for being on with us tonight. And
yes, thank you for all your hard work, Alexis. It doesn't go unnoticed.
But what's funny is, like, Mad Mike, all those guys kind of bless it. Years ago, pre-Nismo Fiesta actually started off as a Z event, because the way it started, it was with me and another gentleman at the club in the San Antonio club.
Mm-hmm.
Mad Mike wanted to do something called the Texas Z Party. And this is like, you wouldn't know this unless you listen to this podcast or nerded out in some way about this.
I'm a bit of a nerd.
He goes, Miles, I want to do a party, just do this big Texas thing with all the Z clubs. And so we had this big, massive meet out in Dallas, I think at his house. Mm-hmm. And he said, put the Houston guys together, put the Austin guys together, Dallas and San Antonio. So we did it in San Antonio for like a year and maybe 2 years. And then we tried to do the Texas Z Nationals, and we did it. And it wasn't a bad event. It's just that I think people were just so busy with where they were. They didn't commit to it. And it was such a small event. So out of that, we needed to grow it organically. And that's when Nismo Fiesta began. We're like, hey, we can fill everything else with all the Datsuns, all the various makes and the Nissans. And then, we wanted to celebrate all the motorsports and speed festivals. So that's why we did Nismo Fiesta versus the Texas Z thing. And we were eventually going to morph to where one would take the colder time of the year and the other one would take the hotter time of the year.
No counterparts.
But to give you a little history on Texas Z and Nissan car shows, that was what was happening back then. So,
I actually got a question for you. So did Nismo Fiesta come from the Japanese Z Fiesta? Is that where it kind of sprung from? Because I see Fiesta, Texas, that makes all the sense. And I literally thought that until a conversation with
take 4 events, mix them up in a jar, and now in my brain, that's what had happened. And I remember the day I was doing it, we were actually driving to a Capital Z of Texas event, and we were going to, they used to do a really good Z show at Richardson Nissan Courtesy.
Yes.
So they used to do a really good show at Courtesy Nissan every year, and it's kind of one of the shows I got to live for. So I'm driving up there with another gentleman, Luis Cariles, at the time, who's the president for the local Z Club. And we just started talking. I was like, man, what if we did something like really hardcore, like every Datsun, every Nissan, every Infiniti guy could go to this thing, and we'll invite we'll make an award for everybody. And he was like, you're nuts. You're making like 64 trophies. And I goes, but we do it like Nismo Festival. And then we do the one that was in Australia. And then there was also the one in Japan. And then we also took Fiesta, which was a big thing in
obviously
Texas.
It was always in April. That's when
it was always in April. So we tried
to
like
was
do it
always
all
in
together.
April to
So
line up with Fiesta.
Yeah, a combination of that kind of a speed festival idea, and then a few other Nissan events that no longer exist anymore. So we just said we threw it all together, and that's how it came in the pot. And to this, me and Mike organized it for many, many years, and then Caleb took over the last few years. And he's still working with it. He's in a kind of a rebranding last few years. Me and Mike stepped away the last few years, but he's still continuing to try to develop that. But, he's had a hard time working with that event, just like we did when we were doing it. And it's kind of funny that, like, I look at you now, and I've always gave you a mad amount of respect for the car that you drive, the amount of knowledge that's in that brain of yours. But I'm like, dude, now you like stepped up in my brain to like a whole nother, like you went up 20
mi corazón.
magi points for just the amount of stress that you took on for doing a car event. Cause it is
Voluntarily took on
mad
it. Stress.
it
Like I
is
needed
it
it.
ages you tremendously. And again,
I've been finding
Mike,
gray hairs. Not
yeah,
gonna lie.
Mike,
Yeah.
oh, it'll be all right here, son. That's all car show
Yeah.
right there.
That's all.
No, it's
cars
like
right
know,
there.
this side I think is actually car show.
Yeah, car show promoters, we don't live long. We have shortened lifespans.
We do
But
have our
again, Mike said it like before, just like yourself, you're an unsung hero. So I just want to again, just give you a shout out that
Yeah.
the things that keep community together are events just like this, and for you
Yeah.
to step up to the plate and want to do that, it takes a special kind of dedication. And again, I know it's not just a
Yeah.
one-man show, but again, I want to give a shout out to you, your staff, the amount of volunteers that kind of go into that.
Oh well, I really appreciate that, guys. Like it's I knew what I was getting into to a degree, and I got to do a little bit of light planning with Josh Lyman.
Yes.
I kind of sat on his hip and suckled the teat and had to kind of got to go through a lot of Branson Z-Fest stuff and behind the scenes stuff, how it all goes down, that where the gears and the cogs are working, and it was one of those things that
I couldn't agree
I decided
more.
to
Like
do it.
for people that do Z-Cons, you have to kind of go the year before so you can see all the chaos and what you're going to be dipping your little toes into and kind of get part of it.
Oh, yeah.
Branson Z-Fest, if you want to do something that's local best, that you can't get any better experience than checking out that event, seeing how that well-oiled machine runs, and learning all the things that give them the success that they need to finish out the year, and then of course continue on to the next year. But again, you were always an infinity. You were always a nerd along with us, and you're a mad fabricator and a mad garage monkey. But I guess the vehicle that you're probably most noteworthy is probably the vehicle you still have, right? The Q.
The blue Q60.
All right, talk about it. Come on now.
So it's one of them. I actually, if I was gonna pinpoint one, it'd actually be Joe Wynn's Q60, because we broke enough records with it that that one kind of put us on the map. It gave 1320 started watching us. Map Performance did some stuff on us. It was really cool. But the blue car, so it's a 2018 Q60 all-wheel drive, 742 all-wheel, 662 torque. It's built from the ground up. Once the car was 8 months old, I think, and it was put on giant jack stands, and everything was torn out from it. Everything from fuel tank, front suspension, rear suspension. There were brake lines and interior, and not a lot of interior. And we started from there. And that thing had no AC. Took out the AC, took out the heater, windshield washer stuff. I mean, end up with a rigid mount seat and harnesses. I mean, it was
so you're doing
all
it.
the
You're talking.
features.
You're talking everything that I love right now. I'm Swiss cheese. I cut everything out of cars, and I saw that car. I've seen it, and I've seen it evolve to what it is, and I'm
Beautiful.
like, God damn, you did a lot of work.
And it's actually got all the things back in it now. Strangely enough, all of them have been shoehorned back in, except the washer tank. That don't need that.
Like it's funny. So you see guys like at a track event, like an autocross or a quarter-mile event. Like you always see the proverbial like toolbox. You see the spare tire in the pile. Like your pile has to be like a mountain of just infinity parts when you're just trying to cut weight and hit times.
Oh yeah. So funny enough, it was 4089, I think. Full tank of fuel, stock wheel, stock everything.
That's good.
Right now she sits at 3679 race weight.
Nice.
So
you can live with that and still run and still drive home and be okay with that.
Yeah.
All right. That's good.
It pulls me out of the heavyweight class, but it is you notice the weight. You notice a lot of it. There's a lot of heavy things on these Infinities that you could do away with. And we've actually got a very special project in the works right now that is substantially lighter, because it not only got the diet that the blue car got, but it actually got a bit of a Sawzall and plasma cutter diet as well. So
Ooh, nice,
Well,
nice.
you'll have to keep us updated as we kind of move on, keeping you in the loop and maybe having you
it'll
on
find
for
you.
other nerd type conversations because I know you're just
Yeah.
the man when it comes to Infinity. All those years that you spent over at Austin Infinity, I mean,
Correct.
you were basically the lead point man for everything when it came to racing and Infinity. You were the guy and you were the lead. You were it pretty much for the
Right.
longest time from what I
It
remember.
was.
So, and a lot of people don't know that about you, but now they do.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so if
No
you
one
do have
thinks
an
I'm old
Infinity,
enough.
yeah, if you have an
No one thinks
Infinity,
I'm old enough to have 17 years of Infinity experience already.
well, it's a, you
Wow.
know, it doesn't take much. I mean, you're in there. You were literally getting people calls from all over the United States for people to, probably even overseas for people
We
to
did.
work on your work on have their infinities given to you guys solely for the purpose of making them faster at the track.
That's correct.
Yeah. Yeah.
We actually did get a few phone calls from the Emirates. Actually, that's probably the furthest away I can think of.
Wow, Jesus Christ.
Oh
So,
wow.
but again,
Yeah.
so do you want to give a shout out to anybody from those years, the Austin Infinity guys?
Oh yeah, man. Craig Isaacs, man, he put that all together.
We love Craig.
The owner,
Craig.
Will Hardiman. I mean, those guys, they allowed us to, really, really run with it and really show what we had. Take it to shows, do our thing, to go to events, go racing.
So are they still
That's
doing?
not a dealership thing.
Are they still doing stuff at Austin Infinity?
They're moving away from it these
Okay.
days.
Well, if you again, if you're looking for getting a fast Infinity, maybe give Austin Infinity a call. Maybe they're still willing to take on the projects. So just for those that are listening and might want to check about that. So
Yeah.
Sure. Now, Kris, you did mention obviously having some helping hands, a lot of good friends and Z enthusiasts to help you put this event together. You mentioned Branson Z Fest, and you did mention Josh and Cade. What I was liking to do is go ahead and bring on our next set of guests that we can continue talking about Texas Z Fest, if that's all right with you guys.
Absolutely.
Let's do it then. All right, guys. Next up into the chat, we've got returning guests, also co-organizers of Branson Z Fest, based in Missouri. Let's welcome back Josh Lyman and Cade Mertens. Boom.
Gentlemen,
Howdy.
what's happening?
Yeah. Cade looks like he's ready to party.
Howdy.
Always. He always is.
Always.
I am the party. What are you talking
That
about?
is.
Yeah.
glasses.
He
You
was
know,
doing
you
so
can't
well.
you cannot not party in those glasses. Like if you go and like everybody else is drinking and you show up, I'll have a tea and it's just like take them off.
I'm
Burn
pretty
'em.
sure it's illegal to not party in pit.
I think you have to always have a Miller High Life in your hands if you wear those glasses at all times. So
It's almost. It took me a while to remember who you were without the glasses. For a minute there, because there's such a signature of yours, man.
I was we're gonna
Pit
bury
Vipers.
you. We were gonna bury you in that.
At TZF, I was trying to get a sunburn line of them on my face. So
Got it.
when I'm not wearing them, I'm wearing.
You need the proverbial white, whatever that house paint
Little-
is that they put on their nose.
Like the sunblock or whatever.
Yeah, that's a thick, whatever it is. It's like SPF 4Gs. Whatever it is. But yeah, we have Josh Lyman and Cade Mertens on. I love these guys. Tell us a little bit about yourself, guys. You're returning guests.
Go ahead.
This is Josh. He founded our club in 2014, Ozark Z Club. We've been going strong since. My name's Cade. I'm currently the president of the club, and
Oh, congrats!
I have a problem with buying old Nissans, so I'm in the wrong place.
That's okay, Cade. We all have problems.
You're among friends. You're fine. I wish we could have done that at Unisync, like welcome, Cade.
Welcome,
Yeah.
Cade.
Cade,
Yeah.
it's okay. We're all
Like-
addicts here.
Good meeting or
Guys,
something.
he's gotten to the point where like he'll go and buy something and he won't tell me about it. And we had dinner with our buddy Lee last night. He's like, "Hey, what about this S30 that's in your trailer?" And I was like, "What S30?" And he's like, "You don't need to worry about it." So I'll give him a hard time about it. So he's gotten to the point where he won't tell me what his little purchases are.
All right, Cade, you got the hard body, which we need to talk about because
Okay.
you're still in
Which
that.
one?
You're still in that mini truck life. Oh, he's rolling multi hard bodies.
I have 4.
I thought I was bad. I have 4 Datsun 620s, but out of that, I'm going to make 2. You are insane. Are they all slammed?
No. Two of them are. One's a roller right now. It's getting a little bit of special sauce, and the
One
other
looks like this.
Oh,
the other one's a 4x4, and it kind of the frame kind of.
Or I guess it's like this.
Yeah, it was given to me by Jimmy from up in Ohio, and that's where it lived its life. So it's a little bit.
The trip was worth it. The truck wasn't.
True. Yeah. Connecticut actually came with me on that venture. We went to the Indy 500, and then
don't tell Josh
there to Ohio to pick up the truck.
Well, I've picked up many a car that I'm just like, why did I do this? But road trips are road trips, man. Sometimes you just got to get out there and just have that fun.
That's right.
But stop buying hard bodies. Yeah, I think you officially can stop. At 4, it's like laughable. At 5, it becomes just sad. So just stop.
I think the number 7, Cade. Keep going.
Something higher.
Hey, speaking of car collection, Cade. So last year at Branson Z Fest, Miles, Ion, and myself, we started to put together. We weren't actually, it was more than just us. I mean, we had hands, essentially all of the attendees helping us. What's the status on? You can give us a status on your Z32?
Yeah. So last year, like you said, you guys as well as Ion came to Branson Z Fest, and I mean, obviously, you're taking time off work out of your schedule, and gracious enough to help me get the Z32 done. Because as much as I have a lot of experience with L Series and KA, I do not have as much experience on that chassis, and I needed help for sure. And it's been awesome. So just for people who might not have known, at the end of the event in Branson last year, we had the engine set in the car. A lot of the stuff was hooked up to it, but we weren't able to finish it completely, get the transmission in, and get the front put back on. So after the event, I took it back to my shop, got it put back together the rest of the way. And realistically, the first event that it made kind of its debut was Branson Z Fest Pumpkin Spice last year, our informal fall get together. Nice. And it did all the cruises, amazingly there. And then after that, just as a proof of how good the work was, I took it to Z Nats down in Carrollton, Georgia, drove it the whole way there and back. Yeah. I drove it to Texas Z Fest and back. And tentatively, I have a plan to drive it to Louisiana and back here in a couple weeks.
2 weeks.
In 2 weeks.
Wow.
So, it's just been an absolute highway trooper, and it is an amazing grand touring car. It hasn't had a hiccup yet. And at this point, I'm kind of nervous to say that because I'm gonna knock on wood for that one. But
what's funny is this was
your Harold.
Yes.
Hey.
That was when we first pulled it out, and I was like,
lugging.
But yeah,
it was okay.
I drive it around town from time to time. I don't like to keep it out, get it dirty and in the elements. But honestly, the most driving I've done in it has been long road trips, and it is just.
It's comfortable, man. A lot of people don't realize how comfortable the Z32 really is to drive. And then you could all that power is like, it's a prehistoric Q60, if you know what that is, Kris.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's right. A 3-liter twin turbo. There was one before the one?
There was twin turbos before your car. Yeah.
Man,
but
I'm going to go back to the Flint rocks and stuff and see what page I missed.
Yeah, they're actually the turbines are actually made out of stone, but and flint rock. But I would say though that I was happy to do it. I know you didn't know us from anything back then. You're just like these 3 crazy guys are driving all the way from San Antonio to work on my car in a parking lot in the middle of summer. I was like, it's like we did it for love. We've talked about that enough on this show, but again, we were happy to do it.
Super.
We live for that kind of stuff. And honestly, it made the event for us. Other than having COVID, it was amazing. While we were working on your car, it was amazing. So and we would have had it done if we didn't have the COVID.
Really, truly, I've said it before. I really can't thank you all enough because it it's something that eventually in my spare time I could have gotten done, but I don't know that I would have even been able to have driven the car to this point already, because
And it wouldn't have been as fun.
I needed that Z32 experience.
I remember the best part about that is we didn't tell you anything, but everybody at Branson Z-Fest signed the underside of the plenum. And it was just, I don't know who came up with the idea. I can't remember it now.
Yeah.
But somebody came up with the idea and I was like, damn, that's a good idea. And if you're on the chat and that was you could take credit, or if you want to be that guy who takes credit for it officially, Merry Christmas. But I was like, I remember everybody signing it and I was just like, that's a good idea. And we started just screw it. We had Sharpies and we're going to do this. And it was cool, man. We all had a blast.
Super cool.
And like it became the bonding event for that year's event. So we're not going to do a hard body in the future. So don't even try it.
2 hours. I've done that before.
Yeah, I don't know. We're not going to talk about Branson and committing to that stuff just yet. We'll talk about it here in a little bit.
I'm just glad to see the car going, man.
Yeah, we're glad to see the car going. So Josh, let's talk about
that's another thing that was great about Texas. I'm just glad I was able to bring it down to y'all's backyard and show you not only, hey, here it is, but also, hey, it made it here under its own steam,
So Josh, who are you and what do you drive?
So I guess locally founded Ozark Z Club. Cade's taken that over for me about 3 years ago. Cade and I split the duties on Branson Z Fest and then work on the ZCCA board as the associate director. And we help organize local clubs, regional events, and all the way up to the big boy at ZCon. And
what are you rocking?
Have a blue 06 Daytona Blue 350Z.
Nice.
And then
nice color.
2023 Proto Spec.
You bought the new 2023 Proto Spec. I mean, okay. Do you love it?
I love it. It's everything that my previous twin turbo 350Z, it's what I wanted it to be. And it was raw, not very streetable. It didn't have AC. It was all billet suspension, which was phenomenal for the track. Yeah. But it was very rough and raw and
very warm.
Yeah, very hot. And getting in a new era twin turbo Z, and what the guys at Nissan did with this new platform and the tech upgrades, and really answering all the bells that we as enthusiasts had asked for it's phenomenal. I've enjoyed the car. Like Cade said, we drove down together at Texas Z Fest, put 1,800 miles on it, and it's phenomenal. Yeah.
Hey, can it whoop Kunetka's ass?
No.
We should try.
No. Cade got a little ballsy though. I was surprised. He's normally really worried. Like he'll never do a pull or like full throttle anything on any drive, like wherever we're going in his Z32. And
I was feeling good.
He was feeling froggy.
He was
down by like Dallas.
Yeah,
and he's
about
like
4 a.m.
We're on our walkies. 4 a.m. He's like coming up next to me, kind of spooling up. It's like, you really want to do this? And he's yeah. I was like, you sure you good? And he's like,
you want to dance with the devil? All right.
I was like, all right. And it was actually a really good pull.
It was pretty close.
Yeah.
Good pull.
Surprisingly how good that Z32 holds up with age. For its age, it holds up pretty good.
No, it was a good run. Yeah.
Yeah, but that new Z is pretty nice. It's no Kunetka rocket, but it's
no, that's a different level.
Yeah, but coming right off the showroom floor, man, it's a dream to drive. They are.
Yeah.
Interior's finally upgraded. They finally did so many things right.
Yeah, I can't. It's going to be a minute, but it's definitely on my list for one of these days. Now, you three put your heads together, and again, from the previous thing you were talking about, having this big round table of these legends, and then of course all the new school. Case in point, coming together and wanting to put this event on. But it wasn't that alone. You reached out to some of the more seasoned folks that we actually have on with us here tonight. And I'm going to go ahead and bring him on, Mr. Karl. He also had a hand to play, Mr. ZCCA himself.
Hey, guys.
Hey, Kris.
Hey.
And look at that. With one picture in a background, he dwarfs everybody, right? So,
Jesus.
Right.
and that's not Photoshop, ladies and gentlemen. That is all.
That's an actual
all
background.
Yeah. Thank you.
That's live.
I know where I'm staying when I'm in his town. So
There's a bed back there behind the behind the Roadster.
So, Kris, you're a returning guest on with us here. Obviously, you've been on with us multiple times, but currently, right now, your title is the executive director of the ZCCA. Is that correct?
Yes. So I've been executive director since late 07, early 08, somewhere in there. Got involved right after the Daytona event.
God.
All right.
It's
So, how did
15
these
years
two? Well, how did these goofballs come to you with this event, or how did this? What's the
Well,
true
as
story of how
usual,
this happened?
there may have been a parking lot conversation that may or may not have involved certain libations in a cup.
There you go.
And they usually start with, "What if?" You know, spot on the map. We don't do anything there. And what if we did it this time of year? Could we get enough people to come? And the beauty of Texas is, as someone said it earlier, you know, you got Capital Z, you got Z Club of Texas, you got 5-6 strong clubs across the state, let alone the neighboring states. There's a huge appetite for people to come together and hang out. So Kris brought it up, and Josh, thank God, helped out a lot more than I did because I got my plate full. But between Kris and what Alexis did, they took the beauty of every Z event. They said, let's have some parties, let's have some drives, let's have a car show. They put all the elements together. And where you guys were talking about Nismo Fiesta and some of the other events and some of the things that are challenging, what they did is they said, once we got past the idea of, okay, I think it's a good idea, they tapped the shoulders of people who had done it. They reached out to Mad Mike, to me, to Josh, and Cade, even, the whole variety of folks that are involved across other events, whether it's Branson or ZCon. And that started the discussion. So I remember the early getting the first hotel contract. Hey, Kris, can you look at this? And, and we just put it through its paces early on. And the great news is that Kris and Alexis just took it and ran. And they took, every piece of advice and then made it their own. So I applaud them. It was the best first year event I think I've ever attended.
I agree. That's right, man.
I mean, congratulations. You guys knocked it out of the park. It was a great time. I'll learn to bring a booster seat next time you loan me a car.
I have some 4x4s with zip ties on them. You're supposed to zip them to the bottom of your feet.
Yeah. I got home after that trip, just a little aside, and my wife, Karen, who's actually one of the sponsors for these events, she goes, "So how was the loaner car?" And I said, "It was a really cool car." She goes, "You enjoy driving it?" Yes, I did. Yeah. But I'm a short person, so the backstory there is that it's a fixed seat. And 2 days before the event, Kris goes, "You know what? I've got a little glitch I'm working out, but don't worry about it." And then the day before the event, by the way, it's a fixed seat, right? And I'm thinking to myself,
it's like Short Round from Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. He's just got those like wooden platforms that are just kind of.
Oh, it's worse. It was like, I don't want to put this in the wrong light, but it was like the car culture where you.
Oh
yeah.
It's cool, Vato. I know what you're talking
about. I got the toes out there, working brake and gas while I'm going. Oh yeah. Where are the seatbelts?
You look like you're rolling dirty. I got you. All right.
Oh yeah, it was a lot of fun, but definitely built for Kris more than this Kris. So
he's a big Kris, not little Kris.
Yeah, exactly.
The C and the K designation makes a difference. So
yeah.
We'll come up with an official designation again that includes libation.
Well, we'll figure it out. So he's actually Kris K, and I'm Kris K with the other K.
You're Kris Kunetka.
Yeah, you're
Connecticut.
Yeah.
Double K.
We got to get you to Connecticut for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Guys,
I almost put that on a little badge thing.
That comes from Missouri. I'll let Cade tell us.
Yeah.
That was
from Josh's inability.
Yeah, you guys are on with us tonight, but normally we don't do 3 compis, but we're gonna do again a middle compi since we've got everybody together real quick.
Yeah,
so a
everybody
little
here.
salute
Let's do
to you
another
guys,
one. Yeah,
all the organizers of events. A little cry and a drink. So again, thank you for all being on here with us here tonight. Now that we've got a chance to get everybody here with us, but let's talk a little bit about a Texas Z Fest and the experience. I know Mike wanted to kind of talk a little bit about that.
Sure.
Let's go for it. So what I was thinking about, guys, and so we kind of established that Texas Z Fest kind of came in from like a parking lot kind of round table of sorts, a series of what ifs, and obviously having the right people at the right places at the right time kind of brought this event together. You just got through the first year. Again, for us, we had a great time. Thank you again for putting on such a great show.
Thanks for
I
coming out,
know
guys.
everybody I heard spoke with at the show there on Saturday was really just talking about their experiences from the entire week that they were there. And, I was starting to think, though, obviously you picked a really great location, which is out in Fredericksburg, not too far. Honestly, to me anyway, great location or distance from Austin and from San Antonio. Was there any other particular reason that made you guys really commit to Fredericksburg?
So first thing, we really wanted it in kind of a little bit north of Austin, so we could have the fun and the amenities that Austin had to offer without really being in the center of it all. But that just wasn't going to play out. And trying to find good drives and cruises for everybody, like the 125 cruise and stuff in Missouri for Branson Z Fest is gorgeous. So it's like, well, we can't top that necessarily, but what can we do that's comparable? So the cruises out there, the Twisted Sisters, and just this time of year with the wildflowers and stuff in the Texas Hill Country was gorgeous. It wasn't too far from some major airports in case people flew in, which a lot of northern, participants, their cars weren't exactly available to get out. It's still snowing in bad weather and just wasn't time for them, or they just, that's a long drive. They just didn't want to make it, so try to make the airport thing easier for people because a lot of people did fly in. Just the overall natural beauty of the area. And I believe it was actually Dennis Whittakin who actually spit out the name Fredericksburg first. And he's like, if I was going to have one, I think this is where I'd do it. And I was like, well, let me look into that for you there, buddy. And he was dead on. And it was beautiful. And we started looking at venues and everything. And it just got more and more beautiful and more special. And it was like, well, let's set it in stone then. Started signing contracts.
That's awesome, and you're absolutely right. Personally, I wish I got out to Fredericksburg more often, though. But just like you said, you've got very close proximity to Austin. Like you said, obviously very, very popular. Lots of great energy coming out of Austin.
Fredericksburg's the Napa Valley of Texas.
It is. It really is.
So you couldn't pick a better spot to do it in. I mean, other than the fact that you've got drunken bridesmaids running through drunken Z owners through the entire weekend, it's nothing but glorious. So also a side benefit if you're a single Z enthusiast.
If you're in the market,
not on that part of it. But, no one tells me anything.
That was supposed to be a surprise for you, Cade. Surprise.
Yeah, it was supposed to be a surprise, but you were all about that hard body life. So.
Oh man! So y'all found the right location. Like you said, started signing some contracts. Obviously, it sounds like you found a really great hotel, some accommodating places. Y'all did a first or something I hadn't seen in a very long time. Y'all's host hotel, first of all, very, very similar in my opinion to like Branson, where you can literally park in front of your hotel room, open the door, there's your car, and then everybody's just kind of having this communal time out in the parking lot. But also, I think, wasn't it on Friday or Saturday night, y'all had the live band
at the pool?
That's pretty cool.
Yes.
It was. Fredericksburg Inn and Suites was nice enough to kind of let us have a complete takeover of the entire recreational area. I mean, the pool area, the down by the river, I mean, all of it. We did have live band. We made 50 pounds of brisket on site. We had Kegs from Allstat, who was also our Thursday event that we went to. We took a run through there, had a nice tour, and got to, hang out with all our Z friends in the Grand Hall there, which is, spitting image of like a German beer hall. It's amazing.
Allstat is an amazing. They were an amazing brewery before they even set foot in Fredericksburg, and for them to come to that area and plant roots there, because it's a new location for them.
Mhm.
Dude, I was excited about that. I was really, really excited about that. Now, and kudos to you for like snatching that up and recognize the quality of that brand. So kudos.
Oh yeah, we were as I drove through, I think, to look at the hotel for the first time, and we're like,
Brewery?
look at
Oh,
that.
that's all stuff.
Yeah, for a
Yeah.
regional,
And because the place is just amazing, and it's got a tractor factory or a tractor museum.
Yeah, it's
So
got it
never
right
mind
outside.
there. Yeah, that was the seal of the deal for Cade, you know.
Yep.
But yeah, we saw that, and I mean, I love their beer, always have. And as soon as I saw it, we're like, we should really try to sort something out for that. I don't know what we're gonna do with it yet, but we should,
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Before we go into talking about the event and kind of week by or moment by moment, I did want to kind of go to the chat. They did have a few questions here.
Yeah.
Myers Motorsports Haley actually asked any teasers on next year's TZF. Maybe a little too soon,
Ooh.
or they literally are just getting off the high, so maybe they need a minute. But I'll let you answer that.
Actually, planning for 2024 started about a
10
month
minutes
ago.
after?
I started sending emails and feelers
Whoa.
out into the world. So
Good
Very
job.
I'm not going to reveal anything yet, but it's super early stages. But it's definitely going to be somehow more fun than this one was.
All right. And on that note, I mean, I think it's nothing but win this last year. So I mean, maybe keeping with the layout that you had is nothing but fire. So maybe that might work for you. But
It's proven to work. I mean, I pretty much just, changed up to my version of what the guys in Branson and, what we do at ZCon in Branson every year, and just kind of made it just the Texas version. It's a tried and true recipe. It works. And we didn't get any complaints about it. Everybody really enjoyed themselves. Everybody had fun. That's what matters.
That's good to hear too, because I know, like I said, when it comes to event organizing, especially after every event, it's like you never know what kind of follow-up call you're going to get.
Yeah.
The next Monday or something. So that's good to hear.
I mean,
that
Kris
got some
Kris can
good...
talk. Kris can comment this more than anybody else in this
Yeah.
in this room in this party right now. But
Yes,
there literally was, we call it the curse of ZCon. If you throw a ZCon, if you didn't have all your stuff lined up and your people were not in the right mindset, you may not have a club 3 months after a ZCon because it was just that much work. And for you guys
In
to
the
come
early
off of
days,
this with
that's
a
very
smile,
true.
it's amazing. I mean, what do you think about that, Kris?
Yeah, in the early days, it was like that. The difference is over the last, I would say, 5-6 years, the model shifted pretty heavily. The ZCCA takes a lot off the local club, and a lot of that stress goes away.
See,
So
you
it's
learn,
still a lot of work.
evolve.
We have we've had, oh gosh, I guess I'd go back to coming out of 18 and the 19 forward. We've pretty much been running the event on behalf of the club, with the club pretty much having input and doing most of the footwork, as opposed to taking people who may not have ever run a large event and putting them in the lead, right? That's a scary position to be in, and definitely a stressor on the club. So we kind of changed the model a bit. These days, it's just still a ton of work, though.
Well, you know what's crazy? It's like, so these gentlemen brought this to you. What does it make to make that work? I mean, if you think about it, this is kind of the who's who of of the people that you kind of need to know to make an event successful. I mean, you've got Kris Karl here. You've got Josh and Cade, and then of course his massive amount of people and volunteers, and then of course locally you just have a ridiculous amount of enthusiasts, and you have people that are super enthusiastic about getting that done. So I can't see that not being a success for your first year, and it absolutely was. So again, kudos to you guys for pulling off an event. Mike did want to do a little recap about what the events held for you last year. Is that right, Mike?
So what I was doing was, obviously we were talking about this last year here, this last event. In total, though, it sounds like obviously the hotel seems to be maybe a repeat for 2024. Is that safe to say?
You're putting words in his mouth, man. He doesn't want to commit to nothing, baby. So
yeah.
Right. Well, see, remember Branson Z Fest. This is Texas. So there's a lot of ground to cover.
And this is where the
Whoa.
divide happens.
You never know. You never
know.
know.
Gotcha.
Maybe we'll hang around in Fredericksburg a couple years before we move. Maybe we'll just move this year. I don't know.
There's a lot of Texas to see, man. That's
There's a lot of
definitely
Texas
true.
to see, man. And we, like I said, we kind of set the bar high in Fredericksburg because it's visually just such a stunning place. And who doesn't want a picture of Bluebonnets with their Z? I mean, I don't think anybody went and didn't do it. I'd be impressed if someone did.
I'm
or
guilty
didn't.
of that. I got the picture.
From behind the scenes too, guys, one of the cool things is your ZCCA board. So your guys that put on ZCon, like they're not on the call tonight, but I know Justin JLE is out there watching. Dennis, we got these guys whipping up creative and making sure everything on the back end is properly set up and registration and
communication.
Without them, that's what makes these events possible. So it's cool seeing the same caliber of what you would have on a ZCon on a regional event. So you have that even on a smaller event with the guys involved. It's a really cool thing.
Yeah, it's
good
cool
practice for ZCon.
Exactly. Oh, absolutely.
Look, Kris Karl moved in his chair like, oh, we got somebody who wants to do it now. And he's just like, oh, 2026? All right, I got you.
We were just talking about
like, he got excited. See?
So it's funny, actually, Josh said it best. I don't know if we were still at Z-Fest or not, but he said just the last several years, Kris, you just touched on this this 2019 and up kind of thing. And it's, I don't know, he called it changing of the guard, so to speak. And it's just the next generation, the evolution of what we do and how we do it. And I mean, it's not like we've ever been in the Stone Age on these things. I mean, any of us, but I mean, the evolution is happening.
We move with the time.
The hardest part of this that most of the people may not realize who happen to be dialed in here, so to speak, is everybody here is a volunteer. None of us get paid. We're all giving free time up to build a party, right? Whether it's a week-long ZCon or a regional, right? It's tough. You're giving up a big chunk of your free time to put these things together. And your payback is all the social aspect of it and all the smiles as you see people enjoy the event.
Absolutely.
That's why we do it, man.
Yes. So, Josh, you were talking about the shout out to volunteers, man. Like I said, it seems like you've got a great team, and how you said it really has taking a lot of what you know from Branson, the connections, the processes, which work really well, bringing that in with Kris Kunetka in Fredericksburg seems to be a really good recipe, as it has been this last year.
And it starts with Kris's leadership on the structure of the event, because it's really set up like ZCon, and we just scale it down, and then we set it up like we did. Kris was just talking about like Branson, and so he had a really good game plan to start with, and we basically wanted to tailor it to the area and what can we make special so it's not like Branson or like ZCon. You want to have differences in your events, and Kris and Alexis did a great job with those separations to bring something to the table that's a completely different, area and a whole different atmosphere than what Branson would be, but keeping that family-friendly environment too. So they did a phenomenal job with it.
Family-friendly, but still fun for the adults.
For sure. Can't have it any other way, guys.
I love your little mention of the personal touches to the region. Hold up your shot glass if you got that around. So we did shot glass.
I have one, right?
Oh, wait.
I wasn't given one. Nobody saved one for me.
Yeah.
All I got was this
Thursday. You might have gotten one.
I went to Texas Z-Fest, and all I got was this mug.
Yeah,
all I got was this sign.
in one frame right there.
I will say all I got was this amazing mug, but by the way. So.
Amazing mug. Yeah. So just talking about the merch, volunteers that you've had, want to give you guys a chance to talk about sponsors even. Obviously you had a ton of really great raffle items and from multiple sponsors, man. Did y'all want to take a moment to, just give some love to your sponsors?
Absolutely, man. So first and foremost, I mean, Continental Tire, was our title sponsor. I mean, they took a big weight off of our shoulders, helping us and creating not only an ability to create some of these events for you guys, but to some really awesome raffle stuff. I've always enjoyed ZCon raffles. It's one of our, one of the parts that everybody gets everybody's blood going, and auctions too. And so I wanted to make sure we implemented all those. And Continental gave us 2 sets of tires to raffle away. But I decided that I like stuff, but you might forget one day where, one of those items might come from. It was on your car, or you put it on the car sold. You don't have the memory of it anymore really with you. But an experience changes things. You'll never forget them. So we created with Continental and Shredder Racing, Fielding Shredder, we created the Conti Shredder experience. 1 full track day. Is that a car box there? And full track day, new set of tires, in class time, on course time, tandem together, solo. I mean, it's a full on day with a brand new set of Continental tires on track, all expenses paid for by us and Continental and Shredder Racing. So, I mean, first and foremost, huge deal to those guys, for helping us with that.
Yeah, Schrader's such a great guy. I mean, for those that don't know Schrader, I mean, he's obviously been a huge name in the drift world here in Texas, but he is uber famous for the Netflix special that came out just a few years ago, where he was the only real Nissan that was competing at that time with his 240, and he made it pretty damn near to the end. And he's he just showed his skill level through that whole thing. We were rooting for him at the end. Unfortunately, he didn't make it quite to the end, but he definitely showed his skill set through that event. And if you've never had an opportunity to walk up on him and talk to him, or even watch him as he gets sideways, the boy's got skills. You can continue to follow him through Instagram. What's his Instagram page?
Shredder Racing.
Shredder Racing. That's right.
Yeah, I'm trying to get him to make a new one that says Slide Jockey, but he hadn't done it yet.
He will not do that. He will not conform to your box that you're trying to keep that man in.
He won't do it. He's like that. They call him the Wild Child for a reason.
Hell of a driver, hell of a nice guy. And it was really cool that you had an opportunity to kind of bring him out this last year. I was surprised to see him. And then he had his car out too as well, and he was showing.
He had his street legal car out there, yeah. So which was built. It's a street legal class. It's street legal. It has AC, sir, and it works.
So, officer,
more than I can say for most of my
AC, stuff. So
yeah. No roll cage, AC. I mean, how does it get any more street than that, man?
Very sick.
But myself, along with UpRev, we put that together this in 2022 for his competition year, and went pretty good. Shook a lot of bugs out. This year should be even bigger. The S14 is sitting comfortably in the garage right here. It'll be out.
You guys welding up the whole underside and all that back together, and
the slide dents. No, those are staying in there from the sliding. No, the sliding dents. From
little thing. I asked him about that, and
the rail slide you had to do in hyperdrive.
We were gonna have him on the show, and I was like, "So what's up with them? Like those skateboard slide rails that are like welded on?" He goes, "Dude, we had to do that the night before, and it was just like." And he goes, you can either take the slide rail or you could take this jumping. He goes, I'm going to take the slide rail. And he goes, what do I have to do? And he goes, I'm going to rip up all my SPL suspension. He goes, but I'm going to weld that suspension. And we're going to get it done. And it's crazy. Like, we needed to have him on the show to kind of just solely talk about that event and all his crazy ass drift stories that he has. But I'm glad to see that it's with you.
Yeah, so, I'll hit him up, and I'm sure he's actually around here somewhere. I'll bother him about it.
Is he literally to the left of you right there?
Not at the moment. He was earlier. I was just like, maybe he's still there. No, he's not there.
Yeah.
But again, a big shout out to Fielding Shredder for coming out to that event.
Definitely.
I was stoked to see him, and you need to capitalize on getting that man out there. We need to make sure that he has everything he needs for success. So.
Oh, absolutely. And that's solely my job. So that's what I will do. But on top of all that, Skillard was a big deal as well.
Yes.
They do amazing work. Ben and I have been bouncing ideas, and thanks to him and his imaginative creations, he sent us some of the first production 370Z parts they started making. So they've come out of the Datsun world, and now they've dove right into the 370Z, which is what the longest running production model car probably that Nissan's ever had, I'm guessing. And made some great stuff for us. They sent us some awesome stuff. Their brand new aluminum diffuser, the heel plates, the seal plates. I mean, they're gorgeous, and it was an honor to give them away. I wanted to keep them. I threw a bunch of tickets in the raffle myself, and I don't even have a 370Z. And I even told him, I said, if I win that diffuser, I will buy one.
I did the same thing, man. That diffuser looked beautiful, man. I was like,
they're gorgeous.
Ben makes nothing but good stuff from those damn door cards. I can't tell you how many sets of door cards I bought and installed on them, and I absolutely love everything he does. Like, I love all his stuff.
Yeah.
So
he does amazing stuff. They all do. They were great to us the entire time. Always sending us good new info, and I mean, they have a new website up right now. I would highly recommend checking them out at skiller.com. Their new stuff is great.
Good discount days, like their Black Fridays are like nuts, and then they have those deal days. So again, if you're not on the list for Skiller, highly recommend checking that out, because their discounts are pretty spicy. Like, they've got some pretty good discounts.
They definitely do. And of course, Mr. Chris, Karl, and Karen Karl from Z-Spec sending us a bunch of merch and the kind of information you just can't get anywhere else. There's a lot of stuff about Texas Z-Fest that, it wasn't worth guessing, and it wasn't worth trying to just learn and do the learning curve myself when everybody's already gone through the growing pains. It didn't make any sense to do that. There was enough growing pains. I didn't need any more, and, tapping Chris on the shoulder and asking him, Josh asking him, hell, I think I even asked Cade something once. And,
what was the answer?
Of course, it's ill-advised. That's why I asked. But yeah, I mean, that kind of information, that kind of product from Z-Spec, man. I mean, everybody loves it, and if you don't have it on your car, you need it on your car. You need it in your life. Austin Infinity was great to us. Donated a set of niche wheels and tires, multi-piece wheels. We had the fixed operations director actually there on Friday in our reg room giving away all kinds of swag. Alpha stuff. We had a bunch of AMS parts, shirts, hats, key rings, keychains, stickers. I mean, just all kinds of stuff. Austin Infinity stuff. I mean, they didn't have to come out. I mean, we didn't ask them to do that. That was of their own volition. They wanted to be there. They wanted boots on the ground. So that's what they got.
That's great.
They were great to us. One of my best friends, Joe, at Moonshine Grill here in Austin. He's got some of the best food and the greatest bourbon list in Texas. And there's lots of magazines and articles to prove it. He was on site with me, helping me with all those briskets. He was the on-site bourbon specialist. He made sure we stayed hydrated with whiskey while he was there. Even donated one of his private label, private barreled bottles from Moonshine and auctioned it.
I remember that auction. That was an awesome thing that he could have donated to the auction.
It was. And you know who actually won it is actually Lynn from Headwater for Heroes, our veteran charity that we got in with. And nice. She won it for the gentleman Steve, and Steve was actually the one that was down there Friday night at our pool party concert thing we had, and he was like, I want that bottle. And Lynn the next day, who was the other advisor for Headwaters, was there at the car show in Wine Garage with us, and she made sure she won it too.
She's curious about it. She was on the ball on the bid.
Oh yeah, she was amazing, and she said he is enjoying every bit of it. So I got an email this week saying that he loves it. So that's the kind of stuff we like to get back. I want to hear about these things. Ionic Dynamics, they make all of our posters and our banners. Some of the best stuff in the business. That was again a recommendation from Branson. Without these guys connects and friends and stuff that, you know, I may not have had the opportunity to meet just yet. You know, they make amazing stuff. You know, there's things that I couldn't, you know, we couldn't do this without. So they're level one, a big one. Summit Racing sent us a bunch of cool swag stuff that we used. A lot of the bags and stuff we used. A lot of good stuff there. Uprev sent us some raffle stuff, and they helped us out. They were there for a couple of days themselves. Where our other charity we had was Lovable. It's a local Austin pitbull care and kind of, I guess, I don't call it rehabilitation, but it's kind of more of like a get the word out. They train dogs, they train pits, they kind of remind the world that pit bulls are amazing critters, just like every other one is. And they came out to the car show. They brought dogs. It was a blast. Try to raise money for them, and it was great. I mean, who doesn't love a dog at a car show? You know?
They go together pretty well. They sure
do.
Yeah. Awesome, man.
Nissan's history with dogs is pretty in depth for those that don't know. So you can go watch, you can go back in all the advertisements and from years and years and years. So it kind of goes hand in hand. And I salute you for kind of catching that with your,
of course,
with your history.
Like I said, I'm a nerd. I'm a Nissan nerd too.
Yeah. Well, man, you know, the event as a whole, I at least from my end and Miles' end, I am sure it went off without a hitch, man. I really enjoyed the time and the effort you guys put in to Texas Z Fest this year. Again, our hats are off to you on it, and again, we look forward to 2024 as well. Before we talk about Branson Z Fest, one last question I wanted to talk about, which was, of all the things, because this was a 4 or 5 day events, of all the days, and this is for anybody who's with us, was there a particular story or memorable moment that you guys would want to share? It could be anything, but I see smiles.
Oh, can it? Oh, can it now?
So, all right.
Oh,
I guess
God.
I knew you were going to speak up.
I'll go ahead and share one. So this was, I believe, the last night of the event. We walked up from the hotel and we went to a Mexican restaurant called, I think it was Mamacita's. And we were, granted, there was about 15, 20 of us. So we were waiting for a minute for a table.
Oh.
And outside, we were waiting out front of the restaurant. And there was, again, about 15 to 20 bikers who were in the parking lot, and they had kind of baggers with the big, fairing on the front with speakers and a radio.
Okay.
And they were playing music in the parking lot, and the song, In the Air?
Phil Collins?
Phil Collins came up. Yeah.
Okay.
And so it gets almost down to, the best part of the song,
the drums.
And I'm rounding up the Z guys. I'm like, all right, whenever that part comes up, we all have to do the drums vocally and, do the motions with it. And then we're going to be best friends. So we did.
Yeah.
And we made best friends with these bikers. And
quickly
singing with the music, and one of the guys, Quinn, he was over dancing with them. That was a special, not necessarily Z related, but just a fun memory from the event.
Yes,
it was Z related. There were enough of us; it counted.
Exactly.
Yes,
right.
That's what it's all about, man. That's great, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool, man. Did they? This was the last night too, so they hopefully next year they'll remember you guys and come out to shoot again.
It'd be hard to forget.
Yes,
it
see what I
will
mean?
be
Yeah,
difficult.
Shouldn't be difficult.
It'll be
at all.
difficult to forget that one because our drum solo for that little breakdown right there was pretty loud.
It was pretty loud and it was well coordinated.
It was. The choreograph was spot on, and it was funny because I feel like the people inside that work there, they rushed us inside not long afterwards, because we waited a long time, and all of a sudden we started having fun, and now all of a sudden we had our tables ready. I have a hard time believing it was a coincidence. They're like, get these people inside.
They're having entirely too
You're
much.
hanging out with Satan's helpers. You got prospect patches, and you're just like, get these guys inside, get them a table.
That's
Yeah.
a good tip. If you want the table quickly, make some noise outside. Yeah.
It works.
It's always worked
It
for
works.
me. So
Yeah,
And something well choreographed makes it happen faster. Just a spot a little trick there, in case you're wondering.
Yeah. Well, awesome, man. Well, if it's okay with you guys, man, we want to segue into what you might call the sister events or the original. We mentioned it many times already, which is Branson Z Fest, of course, happening. What are we? 6 weeks away from Branson?
Oh, that's
Yeah.
Past.
I'll say a few things about it. Let's go ahead and get into it, if that's all right with you guys.
Yeah.
Branson Z Fest happening May 31st through June 4th. Of course, Branson, Missouri. Again, this is an event. Miles and myself, and a few other of us from Texas have been able to make this just last year. An amazing event. Again, we're about 6 weeks away. Let's talk about Branson, man. What's going on this year? Let's spill the beans, man.
So go ahead.
Yeah. So Branson Z Fest, really just a brief overview before we break it down anymore. It's kind of just a little bit of everything that people have come to know and love about Branson, but just improved in ways that we felt that it could be. And also with some crowd input that we took surveys at the end of the event last year. We listened to that crowd input, and we've taken that into consideration. And but yeah, I mean, our kind of the basic rundown. So as you mentioned, the first day of the event is going to be the 31st of May. We'll have registration open. It's we're going to lead it off with the Little Golden Gate Run. For those of you who haven't maybe heard of or been to, it's going to be kind of a scenic drive through the Ozarks, and with kind of the highlight of the route being the Little Golden Gate Bridge. And it's a very pretty suspension bridge, a great pull-off point to the side for pictures and hanging out. And that'll be the same day as our kind of opening banquet, if you will, at a restaurant up the hill from our hotel. The next day, we have kind of our most standard, kind of the original to our club anyway, Ozark Z Club, 125 run. And that runs kind of, again, through some scenic, different Ozark Mountains scenery. One of the cool things about this cruise that kind of sets it apart from the others is part of the cruise is actually we cross, what's the lake? Is it?
Oh man, now asking me.
Sorry, I shouldn't have
Peel
done that.
Ferry.
Yeah, so the Peel Ferry, it's actually, I believe, one of the last free to utilize ferries in the United States. And part of the cruise is we get to all, I think the ferry itself holds like 15 to 20 cars, and we get to take a ferry across a lake, as part of the drive, which is, kind of a cool item that, you're not going to get everywhere.
Yeah.
And again, we do have our own BZF cornhole tournament. I know there was one at Texas Z Fest, and I believe the actual Texas Z Fest cornhole champs are both present on this call.
Rigged.
Apparently it was rigged, but we also have social game night, as well. That leads us into Friday. Again, we have another guided cruise. This is what we like to refer to as our Texas run. This one was kind of, it's kind of been inspired by our guys down there, Warren and Mike Bruner. And basically this one, you're going through a different set of Ozark Mountain scenery. Kind of the big draw to this one is there's a gas station in a small rural town, and they have kind of a deli section, and it's a couple of ladies. They sit back there and they make sandwiches.
Oh,
and their peanut butter and jelly. I'm telling you,
they're like
It's so good.
There's an
You
inch
wouldn't
of
think
peanut
it.
butter.
You wouldn't think it, man. You're like, who wants to get a peanut butter and jelly sandwich from a gas station? These guys, that's who we do.
Absolutely.
They're so good. It's like when grandma makes them for you, kind of thing. Like they just taste better. It's like
Simple.
that.
They're just
It's just
better.
They're just better.
And we have an aerial photo, similar, just to get a big group of everyone, kind of take stock of who's there and let everyone get together.
But we switched that from Friday this year. So in the past 2 years at BZF, the aerial photo has been on a Thursday. We wanted to accommodate guys coming in a little bit later on the back end of the week. So we're hoping that a little bit later Friday we'll have an even bigger turnout, which last year's group photo was awesome.
And absolutely.
Yeah.
And as Connecticut alluded to earlier, that night we have our charity cookout. Now, our charity cookout, it benefits the Haven of the Ozarks. They're a 501c nonprofit charity down in Cassville, Missouri, which is a little bit outside of Branson. That's actually the direction the Texas Run goes to. And it's a no-kill animal sanctuary that they do. They take in strays and try to find them, homes. And it's a really great place, for, any animal lover. We're glad to have them, as the people that we're supporting with our charity efforts. So, like he said, dogs and Nissans, they just seem to go well together.
Oh, absolutely.
It's perfect.
And then kind of to wrap us up, Saturday, we have our People's Choice Car Show. Now, we this is actually one of the guest inputs that we had. We thought about, trying to find a different location for the car show itself. And because, the hotel it's awesome, but, there are certain limitations that we have to work around. And it turns out people love the car show there. It's part of the charm. I mean, realistically, the Honeysuckle, they're part of what makes Z-Fest, and we're glad.
I would agree with you 100%. I think that's the right move. After attending that event this last year, it's kind of, so much of it, when I say Branson Z-Fest, my stress level just kind of drops like 2 beats, just because that you're really not going to go. My distance to the next event is measured in feet versus like miles and hours I have to drive, which is nothing. Sometimes that's worth it, but you just surprisingly with Branson, it just has this amazing opportunity of having everything right there in front of you. And it's just enough to where it like checks all the boxes perfectly of what you're trying to get out of a good car event weekend. And like, it was funny, like the last day of the show that we attended this last year, we're like, oh, we got to get up and go to the show. It literally is outside the door, and you just kind of crack the door open, and you're just like, all right, well, people are already out there.
Someone's sitting.
Relaxing.
You got a whole group of guys sitting in the parking lot, parking spot right in front of you. You open they crack open the door, and hey, sit down, let's talk. It's that convenient, man. It's
you got something. You got lightning in a bottle, definitely, for this event. And guys like Art Singer have been selling this event for years, of how good it was, and it's evolved to what it is now. We're talking like years ago, and he was like, "Man, I'm telling you, you got to go to this event and just go, and you relax, and you're gonna just run. If you want to go out and run in the twisties all day, this is where it's at." And I was just like, "Okay, all right, Art." And then eventually one day, I'm like, you know what, we're going to commit to it. And Josh, obviously picked up the baton and started running with it. And he's like, dude, you got to come out to it. I'm like, all right, Josh, I'll make it up. And then, and then Mike and Ion and myself said, you know what, this is the year, let's go. And we went and we had a blast. Regardless if we were working on somebody's car, we still had a blast. We got away. We had an opportunity to check out a local event. And then, the food surrounding, I know you have certain things, but the surrounding food, and Mike said it best one time. He goes, "What did you say? It's Vegas for?"
Oh no! It's Sin City without the sin. You know what I mean? It's just like
And
it's a wholesome city.
It's very wholesome. Yes.
Within that, there was these like pockets of like amazing food. If you're into that, if you want drink, you can go and find that stuff. But like there was a sandwich place up the way. I can't remember what the hell the name is right now off the top of me. But I lived at that place for 3 days
Yeah.
straight.
Oh my
and,
god.
Jesus, I don't
Give
know
me
what
a
it is.
second.
Sandwich
But
place.
I like the side of my fat right here remembers it and it's talking to me, and it's like that place is amazing. And then the
Ben
hill,
Bagwell turned me onto that place.
yeah,
Uh,
Yes,
Ben, yeah,
yes,
that one.
Spring
yes.
rolls.
I went and
hooked
got
me
you
up.
one. I got you one from
That's
there.
right, you hooked me up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
wanted
that's
food,
why
you're
I
out
was
there
like, "Where
working.
did you get the sandwich from?" And I was like, "Because I'm going to eat it and then go wherever it was, and I'm going to buy more of that."
Sounds right.
And then the runs with the bridges and the shotscape from that
Little
was like
Golden Gate, yeah.
amazing. And we had to run with it with the first Z that I remember seeing in the United States.
Leading the cruise there.
Baskin's
Yeah.
Deli.
We had leading the cruise last
Bas-
year. It was
Yep.
great.
Yeah, the
Baskin's.
Ruby
So I'm
Baskin.
just going to tell you this year, I need at least 5 Z's leading the cruise. Minimum. All new Z's.
Well, we've already
leading
got
the
2 of them on the call here. Yeah.
Well, you should have.
You should have
you have
4.
4 or 5
Yellows.
protos alone.
And
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And then we'll
Yeah,
keep
yellow-
all the Infinity Q60s in the back to pick up the tickets. And well, I mean, it's good.
I'll make it easy for him, believe me.
Just,
But just real quick to like round out the rest of the Branson festivities, every night, if you look at the schedule on the website, we have social event in the description. And I mean, realistically, what that turns into. So for those of you who are unfamiliar and haven't been before, the Honeysuckle Inn that we are based out of, the hotel itself is kind of shaped like a big U. And the parking lot for the event, for the hotel, the parking lot is in the middle of the U. All of the doors to your rooms open into the U. So, I mean, all your cars are there. All your friends are there. You come outside of your room and all the cars, all the people, everyone's there, just mingling together. So when we say social event, it doesn't always necessarily mean there's a strict agenda to adhere to. It just means, hey, this is hangout time. Everyone come hang out, enjoy each other, enjoy the area. We like to kind of have, a structured event for people to join, and go to and enjoy the, different parts of. However, we also like to keep it, I guess, in a way loose enough to where you can do whatever you want. We're facilitating this, but we want people to come and just do what makes them happy with their cars, with the people that like those cars as well, and just kind of feel like a big family gathering. I know it sounds kind of cliche to say, but it really is.
well, I mean, geographically, the hotel is just laid out in a way that you can just really enjoy the event. Like you walk outside of your doors and you can choose to commit to whatever the event is in front of you, or potentially commit to anything on the schedule. And on that note, Mike kind of brought up the schedule. Did you guys want to talk a little bit about what's coming up in the next year?
Well, I think.
Sure. Oh,
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah. So I think you've obviously been talking about the cruises, guided cruises, and of course, how you said you make it what you want. I remember what I thought was so convenient last year was that every cruise you had a little QR code. You scan the QR code; it's instantly on your phone. Again, you can do it whenever you like, but however, there are also the guided cruises, which I enjoyed. You mentioned the dinners at various places throughout the week, and then the aerial picture. Nice touch that Friday photo shoot day. Yeah, I think it definitely. You have a large a number of attendees already, but it's just going to make it even larger.
So
moving that
this
to
year,
Friday.
we changed it up a little bit this year based off the amount of people we had come in for the group photo last year on Thursday. We've been doing it at the Presleys the last 2 years. They're gracious enough to host us. And this year, we're actually going out to Top of the Rock. So Johnny Morris, Bass Pro, I don't know if you guys are familiar with that area, but there's an overlook when you get out to Branson. And if you're on Top of the Rock, it overlooks the entire lake. It's beautiful. So that's actually where we're going to do our group photo. We're going to have everyone kind of on that overlook. We're going to try and time it to where it's evening time, drone shot. Hopefully we have a really good scenic view and really make a cool photo out of it.
Wow, that's gonna be a nice touch, man. I'm glad you were able to set that up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's going to be, I think, a real kind of a next tier of
That evolution of our Z photos.
Oh
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there was one other thing I can think of that's happening at Branson Z Fest this year, which is to me a very, very big one. I can't recall any other festival doing this. I want to say you guys are probably one of the first, which is, if I remember, according to the website, y'all guys are raffling off an entire car.
Yeah.
It's not a part; it's an entire car. Title, pink slip. I mean,
Clean title.
It's a whole car. It's a
yeah.
2005 Nissan 350Z Roadster, 6-speed, and it's something we're very excited to offer to the community, and let you give a little bit more in depth on it.
Yeah, so when we picked this car up in November, Cade and I and our buddy Dalton, who's known as Jote, went down to Arkansas, and we were looking around at this convertible, and we're like, man, like, what do we do with this thing? Like, we were looking, it was pretty rough around the edges. It's like, man, I think we can pull this off. So we drive this car back, and mind you, like, I've driven through Colorado, and it's like snowing and bad weather and I-70, all this stuff. And Cade and I are coming back from Fayetteville, Arkansas. It's 20 degrees out. This
Snowing.
car, ball tires. The car was running on 5 cylinders. The tie rods were bent, and man, like, Cade and I weren't talking for about 45 minutes, and like, I was focused on getting around these corners.
It was a bit tense.
I was like, man, this is one of the stinkiest things we've done. And we got back to Springfield.
Sketchy's good. Sketchy's good.
Hey,
took a big breath.
Sketchy Phil live, and
Yeah,
that's a long list of sketchy for it to top a list like that.
Absolutely.
So, we get back to Springfield. We come up with a game plan, kind of a hit list. Like, okay, what are we going to be able to accomplish with this car within our budget? Like you guys have said, this is a non-for-profit event. We're all volunteers. We wanted to bring something that would be a very cool raffle giveaway, but we wanted to have a nice vehicle as well. So we started reaching out to our sponsors, and we had tremendous feedback on getting guys involved. So, from wheels to exhaust and hood and paint, and it's all across the board, engine work.
It's going to be basically incredible. A new car by the time whoever's lucky enough to win this, by the time they win this car, it's basically going to be a brand new car.
Yeah. So if you guys haven't checked out our supporters page on Branson Z Fest, our sponsors are listed on there. These guys have been involved. Z-Spec, Karen and Kris, Kansai Wheels. We got brand new wheels. We got tires, full exhaust, Sabon's kicking in a hood.
Whoa.
Z1 is supporting with some different parts for it. We got all sorts of different pieces. We got Persimmon seat covers, a brand new top. Like I said, our friend Ray, Lockhart Imports, a new shop out of Springfield. He's donated hours after hours getting this engine healthy. We had a whole donated paint job. It's going to be a really cool car, and the fact that it went from a pretty ugly duckling to
we took a Caterpillar, and we're in the process
exactly
gluing on all the wings to make this,
just to make it a little more attractive. It's an 05.
I saw the pictures of it just today. I mean, somebody had a box of fresh paint goodies, and I was like, somebody's got all the activator goodies, and somebody's going to shoot this thing. And then I saw it at a paint booth. I don't know who's going to be the lucky soul painting that. Is that person in the room with you, or is that somebody else?
So
it's the painting Stig. We don't know much about him.
I know a lot of painting Stigs. There's a lot of people that are out there that claim to be good. But we might be talking about the same person. I know that guy's good, but I don't know if you have his number.
So it's actually going to be me painting it with a rattle
that's
can
what I was saying.
Costume.
I joked and said it was me painting it, which Jimmy Rourke got on there and said, "I've seen your models. You can't paint worth a dang."
Please don't do that to somebody.
But luckily, our friends at Kirk's Collision, Kyle Kirk in town, was super gracious, literally opened the doors to us, and he said, "Hey, we got a spot for you guys. We're going to make sure and get whatever you need, get the car finished." they do a lot of stuff in the community in Springfield as well. So, having those guys be able to open their doors, be able to provide equipment, we can get everything done for a professional paint job on what was a pretty rough looking body. So it's pretty cool that we're able to transition so far on
I
this.
should say it's a straight body. It's
It
a
is.
straight, clean body.
Just a lot of dents.
The paint's old. It's probably sat outside in its life. The body's good. The bones are good. It just needed that next little bit of shine added to it.
18-year-old car. It needed some love, and like I said, bringing on our sponsors, getting guys involved. Like, we got some really cool parts. It's going to be a pretty well set up car, and like we said, it's a 6-speed, so it's not. It's a cool car, so it should be fun.
It's weird that I just got photos of it right now. It's like somebody would send me something about it. I don't know. It's weird. It's like I'm getting updates of it in its current condition. Oh, my bad. So
it's probably the Stig himself, but he shall remain nameless.
It's weird. It's weird. It's like he's almost in the room listening to it.
Man, I'm just so fascinated, man. I think it's such a cool thing. I mean,
donating a car, I really think takes you to another level. And kudos to you guys for taking that on. It seemed like the natural step for you, and for you guys to jump up to that level so quickly. I mean, kudos.
It's been stressful.
Lack of a better word. I mean, it's the perfect thing to do for your event. So,
lots of moving parts, but I mean, I think it'll be worth it. I mean, it's worth it as a, we've put in this effort, seeing the final product. It'll be worth it for us, and it'll be worth it to see the look on whoever is lucky enough to win the car's face whenever they realize that they came here and they are taking home a 350Z that's basically a setup ready to go cross country car.
And one little thing to add to this, guys, we haven't made this public, but we were diagnosing, we had a misfire and we were going through the engine. There was some stop leak that was in the engine when we had got it. We were like, okay, head gasket, we need to replace that. So Ray and I, mainly Ray, I was the bolt guy. I bagged everything. But
good at bagging and tagging. My way of disassembly stresses him out.
It stressed me out. Anyway, so Ray and I were working on this engine, and Ray went through. Ray's a master tech. He knows his stuff, and we got this engine back together. We completely disassembled it. And
good job.
He put it together. It ran great, and we noticed it was still smoking. So he boroscoped it. We looked it over, and it just wasn't what we wanted it to be. So we have actually pulled that engine, the original engine. We have a warranted new engine from Youngblood.
You pulled a Cade? You pulled a Cade and pulled the engine?
So we have a...
Not in a parking lot, though.
I mean, you can only be so classy as Nissan Nerd Podcast.
So thanks to our friends at Youngblood Nissan, our local dealer, we have a warranted engine that is going in place.
So you get a warranted engine, a fully painted car with all the goodies.
Yep.
I believe the chassis itself has about 200,000 on it.
198.
198.
Okay. You're still going to trick out right
at that point.
It'll be all new suspension, wheels, tires, brakes.
Kris Kunetka donated suspension, so we have all new Bilstein shocks. We got lowering springs for it as well. Fielding Shredder donated some exhaust components to it. So I mean, everyone on this call has had a hand on it.
I guess we all got to sign the underside of this car now, huh?
Yeah, for sure.
Might as well.
That's why I call it a community build. Even though you guys are building it, everybody chipped in. I love it.
Awesome.
It's so great.
There's not enough of these, there's not enough of those type of things that happen, and for you guys to put those out, I guess you're going to commit to this every year. I don't know if you know this yet, but
or maybe I can talk him into it. I can talk him into it.
I feel like there's like at least 3 Nissan hard bodies that you can dedicate to the next Branson.
You need to get 2 pennies and rub them together, and that's how it's been making the ends meet. No, for real, it's been. I mean, it wouldn't be possible with the guys in the community. It really wouldn't.
I mean, just to add to the guys in the community chipping in, I mean, and also just the great stories that come from Z ownership in the Z community. we actually Jimmy Rourke, that's up in Ohio, not too far from Kris. He had a wrecked Daytona Blue convertible 350 that was a parts car, and he told us, "Hey, come up here if there's anything you need off of it, come get it." So Josh, myself, and Joe Dalton, our third, we shot up there 12 hours straight through the night,
overnight,
and then we met Jimmy at his shop. Kris was there as well. Karl this time, not Connecticut.
Yep.
And
I missed that trip.
You swapped Chris's.
A whole bunch of parts off
they
the parts car, and we shot 12 hours straight back to Springfield. But he didn't necessarily owe us anything, but he just said, "Hey, I have these parts. I don't necessarily need them. Come grab them and make something great with them."
Well, let's talk a little bit about sponsors or anything. Anybody else you guys need to give shout outs to about the event? I know it takes a lot of hard work. A lot of things need to go into this. And sometimes we want to make sure that we're recognizing all those folks. Is there any sponsors or anybody that you need to give a shout out to for really developing this upcoming year?
Yeah, honestly, this whole event isn't possible without the guys that support it. Starting off with Youngblood Nissan, which is our local dealer. They're phenomenal. They're always willing to help out. Like I said, they got the engine in for us. They're always supporting. We did autocross. So these guys are great to work with. We got Z-Spec Design, which is Kris and Karen, Uprev, John and Juan up over there. Kansai Wheels, which is a new one. We got a brand new set of Kansai wheels that are going to be on the raffle vert. Sabon Carbon, which is one of our Zcon friends, they were kind enough to donate a brand new hood for the raffle vert.
Returning for a second year, this will be Stabwood Products. This is our buddy Matt. He's a local club member. If any of you remember the beautiful wood,
I remember them. I have 3 of them.
Yes,
and
you are pointing them.
Everything.
So
his shift knobs are legit.
Yes.
They're on everything I own. And if you don't have a Stabwood shifter, I'm just saying you ain't nobody. So,
go to our supporters page on Branson Z Fest. He's got his.
I love his stuff.
There.
Damn,
it's good stuff.
He always picks out these real rare woods, and he goes, "This started out as an entire tree.
Right.
I dwindled it down to just a shift knob." And I'm like, "It seems like a lot of waste, but I love it." I'm just kidding. He didn't say anything like that. But no, he does take these like really. To me, they're more of a rare wood. And they're just amazing products. So again, I'll nerd out on this. Again, that's the show, right?
All good.
But again, a shout out to him. I absolutely love his knobs. But yeah.
Anyway.
Miles.
All right, moving on.
All right.
And the next sponsor you would like to thank is
next we have Resurrected Classics. They donate a lot of S30 products for us. Very cool remanufactured products that are hard to come by on S30s, or parts that are worn or rusted. So these guys are providing some pretty cool stuff for us. We got Braille at down in Florida, Braille Battery, that are going to be kicking in for another year. Gary might not be with us anymore. Mm-hmm. He's shifted to a new position, but luckily we have Gary still helping back us with the Braille connection there.
You gotta love the Savage, Gary Savage. She's still
Savage.
It's Gary Savage.
Yeah, you got to say it right, or he won't answer the phone.
That's right.
He doesn't like that. He doesn't like that at all. I don't know why, but it's amazing.
Yeah. And then moving on from there, we have Z Car Depot. Again, this is going to be a supplier of kind of the S30, S130 era vehicles. They're actually based here out of Springfield, Missouri.
Nice.
If you ever need anything, for your older generation dots and you're having trouble finding it somewhere else, they might be a good place to look for you.
Guys, we got Z1 Motorsports coming through. They're donating some raffle products for the event, as well as some products for the convertible. Shout out to those guys. We have Ray Lockhart at Lockhart Imports. This is our local buddy in town.
He's a good guy.
Can't say enough. Ray has donated many, many hours of his free time to helping this vert get off the ground. So Ray's in Springfield. If you're looking for any 90 and above work on your Nissan, he's your guy.
SPL Suspension, out of Texas, who we're all great fans of. There you go, as reference to
great guys. Yep.
And if you ever need any, performance suspension for your application, check them out. They're just, they're
Top
almost
notch.
Unparalleled. Yeah.
Guys, we got a couple of our Japanese friends, Naoki-san from DSCC. He is Japan Datsun Service. Nao has gifted us several parts that we've been able to basically turn into funds for our event. He donated several new Nissan Z products that we've sold online recently, clear markers, some badges, as well as a whole bunch of really cool Tamika products. So thanks to Nao, this helps us fund our event. We also have our friend Hiro-san at Datsun Freeway. Hiro is another big supporter of ZCon year to year out of Project Z Tokyo in Japan. Hiro's been a big supporter of Branson year to year as well. So big thanks to Hiro on supporting us every year.
We also owe them a great deal of thanks to some really cool products that we were very fortunate to put alongside of our really good stuff we had at Texas Z Fest.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
We also have ISR Performance joining us for, I believe this will be the first time that they've been part of Branson Z Fest as well.
Okay. Oh.
And then, guys, we got Kirk's Collision. We had mentioned Kyle Kirk is helping us with this raffle vert. So big shout out to Kyle for opening his doors for us. Ionic Dynamics, if you guys aren't familiar, Jose's got a bunch of really cool carbon fiber parts. He doesn't just make banners. So check out G35, 350, Z32. He's got really cool products.
Titan stuff too, if I remember right. Is that right?
Yeah, we all got to drive trucks. We all got to tow our cars somewhere. So yes, Titan stuff as well.
Another one.
Yes, he makes amazing stuff.
Another sponsor that we have joining us. This one's actually a bit of a personal connection as well. K2 Racecraft, based out of Austin, Texas, for performance needs.
Yep,
it's weird. What do those guys do?
Yeah.
Oh well, I don't know.
Not much.
Able to tell us.
They build slide jockey mobiles.
Slide jockey, yeah.
So and just a shout out on that, Kris, is this your new business?
I won't call it new. It's about 4 years now, but yeah, it's
is
my
this your
deal.
business you're willing to now let the world know about?
Sure. So between restorations, swaps, most of the stuff that 99% of the shops won't touch.
You
I've
want
been
the hard
heavy
stuff.
into what's that?
You want the hard stuff?
If it was easy, that's boring. I could do that at a dealership.
So tell us a little about what the business does.
No, I could do that, but why don't you guys keep going with your little your list, your sponsors real quick.
Great sponsors. Yeah, go for it, man.
No, I mean, just a shout out to you. I know your skill level, so I know what you can accomplish. So again, a kudos to you for sponsoring a fellow brother event. And yeah, man, I mean, definitely want to.
I learned from the best, Mr. Chris Karl. So,
guys, moving on, we got Sac City Auto Parts. So Sac City's donated a brand new bumper for us. They're a new friend for us in the Z community. Big supporter for ZCon this year, but they're also helping across the board on the regional level. So thanks to those guys for providing a brand new bumper for us.
Another local connection we have, Claymore Tactical. It's a it's a club member of ours and her husband, and we're very fortunate to have them as part of the event. They had a pretty cool raffle item last year, and I'm sure that we'll be kind of duplicating the same this year as well.
We got Jim Wolf Technology. Ben has been a great contact for us, not only on the ZCon level, but year to year with Branson. These guys are always kicking in support. So shout out to those guys for helping us again this year.
Moving on. Okay. Moving on from there, another one that we just kind of have support from, and we're glad to have it. CO's paint shop out in Utah. Mauricio from, some of y'all may know him from JDM Legends. He's a great guy, does absolutely stunning work, and we're glad to have him as part of the community. He's a great guy. Overall, just a good supporter of the ZCCA and the work that we're doing, putting together the events we do.
Guys, and the last one to round it out is Dings and Things, Nick Mertz and Greg Mertz out of Springfield, Missouri. These guys have been a long-time supporters, close friends of ours.
Close friends, and actually, I don't know if any of you will have heard the story or seen it, but it was a pumpkin spice, I believe, 2 years ago now. Jimmy out of Ohio, his 350Z lost a clutch on one of the events, and Josh and Britt just happened to have that clutch laying around there.
Thanks to Z1 Motorsports Colorado Zcon raffle.
And,
Brittany won a brand new clutch. We had it sitting in the closet.
But anyway, we needed a place to get this clutch installed so that we would be able to get Jimmy back home in this car that he drove down. And Dings and Things, without even hesitation, they offered up a lift in their shop. And we went up there, got the clutch swapped out. They're just, we really are very thankful for what they've done for us and for our local community.
Shout out to Jeff Whitney. I know he was on here in the comments somewhere. He was our master tech of hand that helped, along with Chris, Jimmy, Cade, and myself, bust out that clutch in about 45 minutes.
Yeah. And that just speaks to the Branson Z Fest overall, kind of character of the event. Obviously you all helped me with the engine swap last year, but even before that, we were fixing, we're replacing his burnt clutch. And even during the time that you all were swapping the engine in, my car, helping out with that, another kid needed some suspension work on a 350Z. I know a couple of our guys broke off and helped him get that repaired. I know another of our guys with a Z31 out of Kansas City needed help getting his rear main to seal. I know a couple of guys helped with that, and that just really speaks to the group of people and their willingness to help out their fellow Z people.
Yeah, that's
bring a lot
one
of
thing
tools
about
with
the
me,
event.
but,
You don't see a lot of people working on cars and just giving up their free labor to kind of working on stuff, unless Kris Kunetka's in the parking lot, and then he's going to definitely do that until 3 a.m. and not sleep all night, because I know him
every day, baby, every day.
He's like that.
I bring tools, but I don't necessarily bring them for one of my turds that I'm driving.
It's funny.
More often than not, it's someone else's.
Like normally when I drive through like a car event, I'm like, oh, I see cars. I'm like, oh, that person's here. That person's here. I look for your legs sticking out of somebody's.
Yeah, my shoes. Just like,
I
hey, Kris,
know his
shoes he wearing?
Like,
so I can
oh,
find
those,
you.
yeah, that's Kris over there. And it's like, sure enough, you're underneath somebody's car just because you're just that guy trying to help somebody out for free. And, for you to do that and then to run an event and then to run a business on your own. I mean, again, kudos to you for everything you do. Thanks for sponsoring Branson Z Fest. Both of you working together to make that happen. That's a beautiful thing.
Sadly enough, I think I only got to work on one car at Texas Z Fest.
You just got to turn it over to the Ottens at Branson. They'll take care of it.
You got to give it to the Ottens.
Right.
Let those guys reupholster a full car.
Like a golf cart, maybe?
Yeah, that's a good story.
So,
that's a great one.
Very short, but yeah.
If we have time,
you guys trick out this golf cart every year. I don't know, other than making it a flying golf cart by 2024. I don't know where else you guys are going with this thing.
So just a quick backstory. The honeysuckle at the hotel, the property's a little bit large, and to run around, do errands and whatnot for the employees there, they have a couple of golf carts. And they got to the point where neither of them were running or operating properly. So actually, this was 2 years ago, right? This was 2 years.
The one that was broken down?
Yeah. One of the golf carts was broken down. It needed tires, needed a little bit of mechanical work.
The top was cracked.
And it needed a new top piece, a new roof. And the Ottens actually kind of started this under their own volition, kind of got people together, rounded up some cash from different people, found a place in Branson that supplies golf cart parts.
Not only the right tire size, but the top. It's kind of an old school golf cart. So it was random that they were able to find this.
They found a top for it, new tires, did some mechanical repairs. And we were able to, as an event led by the Otten twins out of Hannibal, Missouri, we were able to, hand the golf cart back to the hotel staff and say, hey, look, we're good at fixing cars, but we're good at fixing other stuff too. Here's your golf cart back. And those
guys are insane.
So cool.
I was walking by one of the rooms one night on my way to search for libations, and I look into a room, and they literally have two Z32 seats taken apart,
Oh
and
my
they're
God.
literally fitting the
Yep.
leather
Chance.
over the
I believe.
seats for the.
Yep.
They're learning as they go, and just decided to take this on upon themselves.
Yeah.
And then, like 2 days later, I see them underneath the car, like you said, trying to change a rear main seal, and I'm like, kudos. I mean, my hands were busy with something, but I'm like, dude, I think I'm gonna
They were
roll with
on
those
it.
guys next year. Honestly,
Yeah.
those guys are just crazy. They're my kind of crazy. So yeah, shout out to them. So
Hey man, 3 or 4 years worth of attending those shows, and you can have your car restored by people in the parking lot.
So,
Well, man, dude, Branson this year sounds like a blast. Like I said, it has been very much, and I imagine it being the same way. A family-like event, a reunion of sorts. I love the location. I love the events you have. Just curious, the raffle items on that car. How much is it for a ticket for that Z?
So if you guys aren't on the Branson Z Fest Facebook page, we have everything posted on the page. We have a
Okay.
Square site. So there's a breakdown on registration.
Okay.
If you're on the registration form, it gives you the details of the car. You can register for the event, and then it also gives you the price breakdown for not only the event raffles, but the car itself.
Yeah.
And then backpedaling a little bit to the Facebook page, we had just posted, we have a brand new Square site up. So if you're interested in getting raffle tickets for the Vert, we have it posted on the Facebook site. So you just go on there. It's 5 tickets all the way up to 1,000 tickets. The more you buy, the better the price break is. So it's all listed on that Square site. You go on there, you check out. You have to be in person to get your tickets. So if you buy them online, come to the registration room at the Honeysuckle. We'll give you your tickets. And then the actual raffle for the car will be at the end on Saturday. So June 3rd, we'll actually have the raffle. We'll go through awards. We'll go through all the different raffles. And then we'll actually have the raffle for the car. So you have to be present. We are not in charge of your ticket. Kris Kunetka is not in charge of your tickets. No one else is. So please bring a stamp if you plan on buying 1,000 tickets. So we're going to put them into a huge bucket. We're going to have Kris from the hotel draw them. So there's no, we're not
bias.
There's no bias. We're not picking them. We're going to have this huge tub. Kris is going to come pick it. We'll show it to Miles, and that's going to be your winner. So we're going to do it, very, very old school style, but we're going to make it fair. And so just make sure you come to the registration room to get your tickets and be present on Saturday.
That is awesome, man. That's the cherry on top. That's topping off the entire show, which is going to be it's going to be so cool, man. I want to see the reaction. I hope you guys obviously record this thing, share it online.
Absolutely.
Yes. That's going to be such a moment, man. I'm so excited.
You go live with that.
We are.
Honestly, and then invite people from, I hate to say it, but invite people from externally to be part. So.
Yeah, absolutely. We're planning on it.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I think they only took the car on initially because I think they're so used to the stress that putting on these events weighs on them that they felt that they needed to up it just that much more.
I love it. Yeah, we got to have the stress level.
The more stress we have before the event and getting through the event, the better the payoff is at the end when we're like, okay, we got through.
We're just like those frogs in the boiling water, man. We've gotten to the point where it can be boiling and we're just sitting there chilling. Like Kris has taught us so well on being able to handle not only the preparation, but the execution of an event. At this point, it's a challenge. So we try to up it every year where it's not only affordable, the same atmosphere, but you're bringing more to the table. So that's our goal every year.
Again, gray hair.
Gray
hair.
No hair.
Long hair.
Yeah, man. So excited for this event, man. Again, if happening May 31st through June 4th in Branson, Missouri. BransonZFest.com is the site. Still,
Honeysuckle Inn, baby.
At the Honeysuckle Inn. Registration's open. I'm assuming rooms available. They'll able to book.
Rooms are available right now. if you have to call to make your reservation. So if you're on the Branson Z Fest website, go to hotel. It's got the price breakdown. You have to call to be under the Branson Z Fest room booking.
Mention that you're part of our group.
You'll get the room rate, and then you can, if you're a year-to-year attendee, you can pick out your room, which is pretty cool. So, get your room set up. Make sure you do it in the next week or two. We're getting full, but we still have some rooms available. So don't procrastinate. That seems to be the BZF regional-ish trend.
It's a regional show trend.
Get your room booked. It doesn't cost anything up front. Make a call to Kris. She'll get you guys taken care of, and you'll be ready to go and show up.
I'm super excited about this, man. I really, Miles, we want to have to petition and get up there. I know last year again, maybe we could try to make a repeat, man. Of course, our heart's in it with you guys, man. We're going to try our damnedest to get out
I
there.
hope you guys can.
I'm not going to ask you to put an engine in a car this year.
When I'm away from home, I think Mike and Ion were kind of all the same. Like when we're away from home, we just we would just want to do this and some of this and we're like, oh, all these cars.
Is that a wine cork and a bottle?
Whatever the motion, whatever fills the bill for that. But again, I think me and Mike and Ion wanted to give a shout out to just you guys and all the hospitality for everything you've shown. And honestly, the chat's been kind of going a little crazy here, and I want to give a shout out to that. But Abe jumped in with us here tonight, and he just tossed us the set of keys of an R32, and he's like, "Hey, why don't you guys drive this for me? I'm bored of it." I'm like, "All right, sure,
Yes.
Abe. We'll go ahead and drive your R32."
Abe is a very gracious car loaner. He's always helping out, either
He's the
sponsors
best,
or
and
special
he's
guests.
been blessed with a new child, so hopefully he still has the same abilities to make it out this year. If he doesn't, it's understandable. But again, shout out to that's kind of just that small story is kind of like what I get from Branson. When people ask me the stories, I'm like, that's how it is, and that's how we are, but it isn't really reciprocated through events. But Branson just kind of bleeds that. It just bleeds that fellowship. And like I said, Mike always says this all the time, but like lightning in a bottle, it's a beautiful thing you guys have there. It's a beautiful location. It's a beautiful sense of camaraderie. And I think you've got nothing but fire for the next few years. And the fact that you're giving away a Z this year is gonna just bring out everybody, in my opinion. So yeah, if I can't make it, you're virtually gonna have my money. So yeah.
The attitude around Branson Z Fest, I mean, it all comes from one of our fearless leaders here, Josh. I mean, because he is that person. I mean, on the personal side of it, on the business side of it, or whatever, like that is Josh through and through.
I'm gonna say more Brittany than Josh. But
Britt's
yeah,
here on the couch. She's listening.
Hi, Mama Britt.
Hi, Mama Britt. So give her a shout out.
He says hi.
Guys, real quick, too, love to give a shout out to our other guys too on Branson. Abe, he's a big part of it as well. We got Kyle and Devin. Jane's also involved, Abe's wife. We got Matt Knopp, Brad Eldred.
Good crew.
And then we mix in the ZCCA guys. Kris is always helping lend hand to prep. We try and let him relax when he gets there, but he's always helping out from the prep standpoint.
He doesn't relax. Karl, even when he relaxes, he doesn't relax.
Dennis,
I was thinking at TZF he would be able to, but no.
Yep.
He's like that. He's got to carry it all. He's got to bench press it all.
We got Ben Bagwell. Even though Ben's our photographer, Ben's still a close friend. He's always running. Like if we need something quick, even if it's not photography related, Ben's dropping, what he's doing to help out. So big shout out to Ben for being involved on the ZCon front, but also helping out on Branson. And
I mean, to be fair, I mean, not to completely forget about him, Kris as well as Alexis, especially last year, huge help to us. And, hopefully we were able to, come close to returning the favor this year down in Texas.
And then some, guys, and then some.
But, they're great helps to us.
Yeah. And
look at that. Just take a moment to soak in that love right there. That's a beautiful thing.
It is.
You know what I mean? So nothing but love, which means nothing but success, because, you've got two great events. TZF BZF. No coincidence there. But
Nope.
again, you guys are both running. TZF. It's nothing going to be successful. It's in the right location. You're firing on all cylinders. BZF's already an established success. So I mean, you guys are doing great. I mean, just continue that energy, and I can't see you not continuing to grow and bringing on more volunteers and doing bigger projects, and yeah, and keep following the fellowship of this individual down here, and then
Yeah.
things
Oh,
will be
yeah.
great. So
That's
Absolutely. And our their list is pretty substantial, and I just want to make sure that everybody knows that list of BZF helpers that are also ZCon helpers are also TZF helpers. I mean, these guys run through all three ringers. The people you're looking at right here, these other three right here. I mean, they do it all. I mean, it's ZCon, it's Branson, it's in Texas, and JLE, Dennis,
JBL,
Kyle Martin,
J-
JBL. I mean, they're all huge
Get our
parts of this.
treasurer up.
Their input's been, you can't put a price on it.
we're very
yeah,
lucky.
some of the best events that I had from Branson were like rattle canning parts next to like JLE in a parking lot while his like wife
Yep.
brought me back like a matcha green tea, and I'm like, dude, when does I'm like, this is the best. Like it's just, and everybody's like pitching in to work on a something, and it's just, I don't know, it's just, you don't get that kind of event. You feel good at the end of it. Like you felt like
Yeah.
driving home, you felt like you had an eventful vacation. For car guys, we got to do something. We got to turn some kind of a wrench, or we've got to do something that's good or gave back to the community. And both of your events are done in that spirit. I think again, you guys are firing all cylinders on both events, and
Well,
I
mean,
wish you nothing but the best of success.
Thank you.
just to throw it in there, I mean, realistically, it's awesome that we have the group that we have that helps us, that we help each other put it together. But realistically, we have to thank the people that come to the events, because if it weren't
Most
for them,
definitely.
we would have no one to throw the event for. There would be no reason. So, the people that
If the
come
smiles
here,
aren't in the crowd.
it's really the people, the community that we do it for. And, we're thankful to have, their support and showing up and coming out and, participating in the events that we put together.
Yeah, I can't do it without the smiles per gallon. People that come to these things, man.
It's the family reunion effect. It's the extended family.
It does.
It is, man. And the two stepping stones, TZF and BZF, leading up to, going to Dad's house over here for ZCon.
That's right.
For the big holiday.
I know.
Wow. If I'm Dad, are you my son? That's a
Well,
story.
yeah,
You
hey,
better-
I could be adopted, so that way.
We're still working on the
it's
family
stepchild.
tree.
at least you
That's
get to pick them. At least you get to pick them. That's the cool part.
This family tree doesn't look like a telephone pole.
I almost spit out. I almost spit it out. Almost spit it out.
And with that,
I'm sorry I stole your line.
And on
Cade.
that note,
Yeah.
we're gonna go ahead and start winding it down. But again,
yeah.
thank you to the
I-
chat. We originally had an opportunity. Oh, go ahead, Mike.
Oh no. I just want to say one thing real quick too. Now, the unifying, as it's been mentioned many times before, is obviously this pool of all of us, honestly, organizers, volunteers, this community at large. These events are hosted by us as Z enthusiasts. I think one of the big things that really brought us together, at least for me personally, is the Z Car Club Association, ZCCA. And I just wanted to give Kris a quick shout as well, man. I know there's a lot going down, obviously very much involved with these events. And then obviously ZCon happening. We'll get into that probably in another episode. But wanted to see if just anything happening, if you want to share any latest developments within the ZCCA.
yeah, we got a couple things. I know we're running long, guys, but if anyone hasn't heard, Nissan's back in racing here in the States, right? So GT4 America is the racing circuit, and their first race was in Sonoma. The new Nissan Z platforms, the GT4s, they did pretty well.
Podium.
They didn't take the top spot, but they're podiumed, right? And the next one's coming up at NOLA in Louisiana here very quickly. I think it's April 29th weekend. So we are helping Nissan organize car corrals at every GT4 calendared event. And we had Z's of Northern California, Z owners of Northern California organized a car corral. They had dozens of Z's show up. They got to go down, meet the drivers, get autographs, all the fun stuff. Nissan gave out tchotchkes. Same things happening at NOLA, then CODA, then VIR, and Road America, Sebring, as well as Indianapolis. And every single event, the car corral is being run by a ZCCA club or volunteers from clubs to put that together with Nissan. So that's a new development, Mike and Miles. Yeah. We're also working on something pretty cool too. We're bringing back the ZCCA level membership card for our regional chapter clubs. So all of your official members of your clubs that sign up and want to be part of the ZCCA will have the ability to get a plastic card that says you're a ZCCA club member, have an official ID, and the whole bit.
I bet those haven't for this long.
Yeah, but it's meant to add that additional layer of officialness, right, as being part of the national organization.
It sounds.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
No, it sounds like a basic thing, but it means so much. Having something physical in your wallet, in your pocket, that says, this is a unified, I belong, appreciate you doing that, man. That's.
Yeah, we're trying to step in and unify. I mean, the whole idea of the Z Car Club Association is to help bring the Z community together. We were incepted by Nissan going way back to 1990. The first Z convention was actually put together by volunteers 2 years before the ZCCA actually existed. Nissan wanted to build an enthusiast community, and fast forward to today, we've got the ZCCA with 40, 50 chapter clubs across North America and friends across the globe. The Z Project Tokyo and Ultimate Zs. We got friends in Australia and in Queensland and so on and so forth. And the whole intent is to bring some organization around that and then bring the community to fun events. You've heard about TZF and BZF, and you hear about ZCon. These are a handful of the events. There's some of the bigger ones out there, but the whole idea is to bring the love for the cars and the owners that love those cars together in a social aspect. So one last tidbit I'll give you is that we are also helping the Protospec owners. So the 2023 Nissan Z came out, the first special edition, 240 vehicles that were intended for sale in the United States did not come with numbered plaques. However, Nissan entrusted us with the VIN list to officiate which one was number 1 to all the way through 240. And we are producing numbered plaques under the ZCCA label. So those owners may to procure one from us, and we're not trying to make money. We're just trying to cover our costs. We have a really cool stainless engraved plate with the number of the car matched to the VIN. We'll be validating that, and certificate of authenticity and the usual thing in the package. So those are highlights of what's new out there. And of course, we got ZCon coming up, but that's another story.
We're gonna be getting to that one soon enough. I know that for sure. Great work with the proto. I didn't know that. The badging, especially with being such a limited number, nice touch. I'm glad Nissan entrusted you guys with that. I mean, of course, goes without saying. So.
Well, what was the phrase? We always try to one up ourselves year to year, guys, right? This is one of those little things we looked at and said they really should have done it. And I get it, supply chain, the world was on fire, all sorts of issues trying to release a car with everything going on, and they just didn't get to that. So we're going to help them out.
For you guys to do the effort of it, I mean, that just kind of speaks to the love and the affection that we have for the brand, and then of course for the lineage as well. So again, kudos for you folks putting that together. So
yeah, and it's the entire team. I'm nothing more than a nameplate, right? At the end of the day, it doesn't get done without the team I've drafted to come paint the fence with, right? So the Joshes, the Jensens, the Cades, the Robbie and Dennis and everybody else on the team, it doesn't get done without the sweat equity of all these individuals. And, I'm proud to call them good friends, but they're also family members as well. I think Josh has been called my work wife more than once by my real wife. So, it's part of what I call Z Club life. So you'll hear us hashtag Z Club life a lot. It's not just about being in the Z Club. It's about being in that community and wrapping the love for the car and that community into your personal life. And that's what keeps me going, because I know it's not the paycheck, because there isn't one, right?
Absolutely right, man. Obviously, a lot happening, a lot going down the chute here. We obviously support you. We've got your back. Whenever that time comes, we're happy to have you guys on as guests again later this year in 2024, going onward. Man, this has just been a great time.
Well, thank you. I mean, it's been more of a party than an event and a promo.
Well,
yeah.
But,
You put all of us together like this, what do you think's going to happen?
Yeah, well, it could be
That's
worse.
what I'm saying.
We could get a lot more trouble, but and there historically has been concerns, and we'll leave them off for another episode. But yeah, thank you guys for coming on with us here tonight. I thank for taking time out of your busy schedules and doing that. Again, the chat's been kind of blowing up. We're going to take a few more questions here, and then we're going to be wrapping it up here for the night.
Let's do it.
A few things that somebody wanted to mention here. I think Abe wanted to just give a shout out to pretty much everybody for being on with us here tonight. Let's see here. Orlando Nunez jumped on with us, said, "Great show tonight, guys. Thank you. Kudos."
Thank you. Thank you.
Miriana AutoWorks. I think I know who that is. It says, "Pick me up on your way down." Let's see here. Myers Motorsports giving us the shout out. Been chatting a little chatty all night long, a little too chatty if you ask me, but giving a no, just kidding. Giving a shout out to our GT4 runs and everything that's going on. P3, yeah, very much so. Let me see here, and then Myers asking about, is anybody putting anything together at COTA in the future? So
yeah,
I believe that's capital Z, is it not?
Capital Z, and Dennis Whittikin is organizing that car corral. So
a good point of contact is also Haley Myers, the AKA Queen of COTA. She can usually get you.
I'm sure Dennis can get
done for you. Infinity G35 mentioned Branson is up to a week of hanging out with car friends. Simplistic, but yes, I would agree too as well. So. Let's see here. And Myers Motorsports earlier in the chat, not to let it go, said, any plans to take advantage of COTA or H2R in your backyard and do some track stuff in the future?
No, there might be.
It's a big ticket item. So, but yeah, so I can completely understand that.
This area does have lots of tracks hidden. There's some good stuff, obviously, San Marcos, Austin. There's actually some good stuff out towards Fredericksburg. There may or may not be a couple of airstrips out there to be taken advantage of.
Ooh.
Yep.
So who knows?
Terry Blount earlier in the episode said, everyone that helped put Texas Z Fest together did a great job. Looking forward to next year. So a little shout out from her too as well.
Oh, thank you, Terry. And Leanne.
Terry and Leanne.
So again, I think that's going to be in for chat tonight. That's all I've got, Mike. Let me see here. I just wanted to give a shout out again to everyone for being on with us here tonight. Again, for obviously our guest for being on. Sorry for running a little late tonight, but sometimes it happens, and we've got to dedicate the time, and that's just
a party, man. It's a party. Parties don't quit, man.
Right.
Z party life.
I did think of one more thing, if possible.
Sure.
For anyone listening, or any of your friends out there, I know it is, our event coming up is Branson Z Fest. However, Nissan, Datsun, Infiniti, if you're passionate about any car in the brand, it's the event for you. Even if you have an Altima, if you're excited about owning that Altima and it being a Nissan, this is the event for you. I mean, I'm the owner of more, Nissan and Datsun others than I am Z cars even, but it's not Z specific. If you're within the Nissan sphere, it's the event for you. We're your family.
Yeah, we can't stress that enough. That's the truth. I mean, Nissan, Datsun, Infinity. I mean, we want them all. You know, had a lot of people come up to me for Texas Z Fest, and a lot of questions I've had at Branson. Even they're like, "Oh, could I bring? You know, I've got an R32 or I've got a Pulsar." I'm like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
bring it." You know,
Yes.
I'd love to call it Nissan Fest, but I'm like, it doesn't have the same ring to it. You know, because at the end of the day, there's 80% of it's going to be Z's. You know. And I'm actually not one of them. I only own one Z, and that's my 280Z. You know, everything else I have is Infinities. So.
Again,
We're rooted
it's
in Z, but we love the family.
that's exactly. And one thing I've always heard that that sticks with me is that the cars don't make the event; it's the people who make the event. So it's it's the enthusiasm. Whether you own a car or not, if the enthusiasm's there, get out there, man. Have some fun. Yes,
Come see us.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, I think hopefully that's a really good sum up for the events upcoming, of course. Now we're going to go ahead and promoting Branson Z Fest, obviously between now and was it about 6 weeks away. So for anybody online, again, BransonZFest.com is where you need to go to look for details. .org. Sorry about that. BransonZFest.org is where you guys need to go to get details on the event, to register, and also has that phone number to book the hotel directly. So aside from that, again, Miles, from you and myself, of course, we always say for the show, please like, follow, and subscribe. Nissan Nerd Podcast, if you guys can. Of course, this is live through the YouTube channel. We're going to continue to do these, going forward. And if you guys have anything left over, do you have anything left? Anything in that stein of yours? No.
I do. I got a little bit. Daddy's been hitting it hard.
We can try to do a kanpai. Let's do a
Kanpai.
kanpai. Woo! Kanpai, guys. Woo.
Just a little sippy.
Last
Just
of
a
it.
little sip.
Good timing.
All right.
All right.
That's the end of the show. Go home. You're done. Go. That's it. 2.5 hours. Officially the longest episode we've ever run. All right, go ahead. Go.
Thanks, guys.
You guys.
Good night, guys.
I don't know how.
Later.